PPP loans, things like that, have offered a little bit of help towards some of these businesses, but definitely tough times for a lot of our friends and neighbors.
Conrad says he feels that the worst of the virus is still yet to come.
We haven't had the worst of it in Iowa yet. We definitely haven't had the worst of it in northwest Iowa. We've actually been fairly lucky so far.
Nevin Conrad is an at-large member of the Fort Dodge City Council. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. We'll see a few scattered rain showers possible late this afternoon with partial sunshine developing a high into the upper 50s. Southeast winds of 15 to 20 miles per hour and at times gusting as high as 30. For tonight, a chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy skies, and a low near 56. Thursday, slight chance for rain early on, then skies become mostly sunny, high of 75. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 57.
Have you ever wondered how the brain works? What makes us tick? Join me, Greg Woods, every Wednesday morning for all the latest news on the brain, on aging, and the science behind it all. It's The Mind Boggles, every Wednesday morning at 8:30 on AM 1400 KVFD.
The nation's cattle producers continue to navigate an industry that has been severely impacted by COVID-19. The market volatility, demand uncertainty, and added stress to the bottom line are ongoing. Hi, I'm Brownfield Livestock Market Reporter Megan Grebner. Please join us Wednesday evening, May 13th at 7:30 p.m. Central for a webinar on an update of the current state of the beef industry, featuring ag economists Scott Brown and Daryl Peel and DV Auctions Corbett Wall. Visit brownfieldagnews.com/COVID-19 for more details.
Today on This Old But Still Nice House.
Hey, I'm going to start on getting that paint off the windowsill.
Wouldn't do that. This house was built before 1978. That's probably lead-based paint.
I don't think there's enough here to make a difference. Can't I just do it?
Sure, we can start the lead professional certification program on the Iowa Department of Public Health's website. Or we could just go to the site and find someone from their list of certified professionals. Seriously, stop scraping.
Find out what happens on the next episode of This Old But Still Nice House.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. May corn down 3.5 at $3.20 1/4. July down 4 cents at $3.18 1/4. September down 3.5 at $3.22 1/2. December down 3 1/4 at $3.32 1/2. May soybeans down 13 1/4 cents at $8.36. July down 12.5 at $8.39 1/2. August down 12 1/4 at $8.41 1/4. September down 11 3/4 at $8.41 1/2. May wheat down 11 1/4 at $5.10 1/2. Soybean meal down $3.40 a ton at $2.85.20. June live cattle down $3.30 at $93.87. August down $3.27 at $98.42. May feeders down $2 at $125.30. August down $2.67 at $133.07. May lean hogs down 2 cents at $68. June down $3.45 at $57.87. From the Alpha Media Farm Desk, I'm Dwayne Murley.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right, I'm the mayor of Manville. Of course, when it comes to overall manliness, we have to turn to Councilman Terry Menke, poet, porn star, warrior, intellectual. These are great days for liberals, Terry. Great days.
I'm holding my breath.
These are great days for liberals. They get to shake their collective finger in our face and boss us around and give us all these lectures. They never, ever seem to have a solution to the problem of businesses going out of business. Have you been making a lot of money the last couple of months? Yeah, I know. I know.
No.
Ask a liberal. We should have a hotline. Ask a liberal and have them ask questions like that and see how evasive they get. What would you rather do? Go to the optometrist or kill 5 people in your own family? You know, that would be the reaction. Yeah. I love those people.
Well, speaking of that, the Growth Alliance is doing a survey of the effects of the COVID-19 shutdown on businesses. So.
It's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, well, if you have an opportunity.
Plouts may find himself in a headlock by some of his liberal constituents.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I don't know.
But they are looking at the survey in the community, and so we ask and request that you fill that out and send it in. Information will be confidential, so not everybody will know how broke you are as a result of shutting down for a month and a half or two. But, that is an opportunity for you to have a little bit of input. As you know, Monday night we did address some local stimulus.
Yeah, was that for show? I mean, I appreciate the show.
Well,
I mean, the city had to do something, but really, a $25 discount on 1 month.
Yeah, well,
of,
I had some.
And what's Halter talking about? Trickle-down economics. What is? Where did that come from?
I was watching Flattery's face, Mr. Republican there, and then he did come on and say that trickle-down economics did work. So
yeah, well, Kim, I see Kim Allstad has been talking with people again.
Yeah, well,
you know what that means.
We're in trouble again.
We're in trouble again. There could be some pretty good stories coming.
Yeah, well, Mayor Matt and the staff have been working on that for a couple of weeks. I can honestly say that the council was not involved in those discussions. I was brought in on later in the week. I was the last one that met with the staff. I got the information about an hour and a half before the meeting. I had some concerns about the effectiveness of the program. I thought it could have been done maybe a little bit differently. The building permit one I didn't have too much of a problem with, because anything we can do to stimulate building to increase the tax revenue, even though we give them tax abatement for 9 or 10 years, it seems like we give them incentives and then we don't get the rewards for a generation or two, which is a little bit of a struggle. But that's the one way we can recover some of this growth, is by getting more things built, and we can talk about that later about a couple.
Recover some growth?
Yep.
Is that what you said?
Yep, recover some growth, because I think things have been stalled here recently.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
How much money have you made recently?
Not enough. I mean, I have become a ward of the state. So. On top of being very dependent on my insurance companies, Medicare and Medicaid, now I'm relying on Washington to keep me afloat. So.
I read the opinion page of the Des Moines Register this morning, and it was just disgusting once again. They had a UNI, I believe, retired marketing professor on their site, and they were lecturing everybody about, oh, God, see, all we really have to do is wait and stay in place, on and on and on. I'm going to be, he was probably even older than you and I, and I'll bet you $100 that guy has a big, fat paycheck coming from the state, our money, by the way, every single month. Probably living in a 4-bedroom brick building somewhere, brick house.
Similar to yours.
Yeah, similar. No. I'm the one with the meth heads in my front yard.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So here's this guy going on and on and on, kind of implying what a bunch of wussies we are, because, oh, my God, can't you see that I know everything? He's a marketing guy.
Yeah.
What? And he's a guest columnist?
He's probably never run a business in his life.
Never run a business in his life. Never had to meet a payroll.
No.
He's not even in the medical field.
Yeah. Well, it's a struggle.
But the Des Moines Register has him as a guest columnist. I'm going to start calling this crap out every single time I see nonsense like this.
Yeah.
Because there's been so much nonsense in the newspapers lately.
You're going to get banned again.
Banned by who?
I don't know. Des Moines Register.
No, who cares? Pravda.
Yeah. But anyway, we did address the building permit. The other thing we looked at was parking downtown. We have had a moratorium on parking. Every meter was a 2-hour free. I think last month we only wrote like one ticket. I think income from parking last month was about $375, which obviously is not enough to pay our overhead. And that's part of the concern I had with the free parking on the streets and also in the lots, is that we're still having expenses. We still have employees. We still have maintenance, upkeep, all these different things that are in a line item as expenses on the monthly report. And now our income is dropping, down to nothing, virtually nothing. So we're going to have a couple of people that we're going to have to justify moving them over to the general fund, which is already pretty tight. The maintenance things we may be able to incorporate in some other department moves, but the payroll and ongoing expenses associated with that are going to be a little bit difficult. So my proposal is that we have to reevaluate this, maybe utilize this as an opportunity to study downtown parking, to see the benefits that the downtown businesses have received as a result of backing off the parking fees associated with it. If push comes to shove, then take the meters out and start using the passport system, which we bought last year. We haven't utilized it yet. We have ongoing expenses with passport system, about $600 a month $500 or $600, I think it's $600 a month that we're paying for the passport system. And so we have to look at ways to, I guess, get creative and move some of these expenses into an area where they're more easily accommodated, because the parking itself is going to not provide coverage for the fees associated that we charge to the program. So that was my concern, and I think it's going to be a good opportunity for us to do some little bit more research. Parking's been a problem, I don't know for how many decades, probably ever since businesses were located downtown, but we do have Main Street, the Main Street Master Plan that's going to be going, and that will also be looking at parking. Also, we have some lot renovations that we're going to hopefully get planned, the new lot over there by the new statue by City Hall, and the one on 2nd Avenue South will be done shortly, as well as the one behind City Hall. So we're hoping that, we're either going to have to bond for them, and every taxpayer in town is going to end up paying for them instead of the people that utilize the parking, or we're just not going to be able to do it. So those were my concerns as far as parking. The stimulus check, the $25, I was not, I wasn't against it, but
I know it was just something to make it look like the city's trying to do something,
Yeah.
which is appropriate as far as I'm concerned.
Well, again, but I think
they're not going to change anybody's life with $25.
And the problem is that people still have to write a check, and that was my concern, is that you take an $80 water bill and give a $25 credit, they still have to write a check. So the chances are it's not going to be really a big impact in the community. I know the mayor has been advocating you take that $25 and go out and spend it in the community, and what my suggestion was is that we create some kind of a voucher program, more or less, to give the person that has the water bill $25, and you'd also benefit the community by having the $25 more or less being spent in there, because that would be the way you get your voucher reimbursed. Take it to a restaurant, take it someplace other than the vaping store or tobacco store or liquor store.
What's your problem? Are you prude or something?
No.
What are you, a Catholic boy now?
No. But I'm just saying that I thought there was a way to make that $25 maybe a little bit more impactful. But again, my suggestion was, nobody cared. But yeah.
I have avoided saying that to you, Terry, because I know your intentions are usually good.
Well, I tried, and I talked to David and Vicki and Chad about my concerns when I met with them via, Zoom, of course, because you can't meet in person, but that's going to change shortly too. But, I just thought that there was more effective ways of doing it. This was kind of, even though they said it was a 2-week thing, the council only had a couple of days to really look at it and put input into it. And again,
you know why that is, don't you?
Well, I know.
So they force you into a decision pretty fast.
Well,
and if you vote against a stimulus right now, it may not look good for you.
Well, I know that, and that's.
I'll tell you, a couple of your councilmen would stand at attention when they think that real fast.
Well, I had a little bit of a problem, and I communicated with David my concern about the fact that they did a press release. On Thursday night at 5:00, and they told me they did that so it would get in the paper. They didn't care about the radio, but they wanted.
Yeah, I've got a story about that too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's a little paper love over there, because the paper never asks anybody a difficult question at all. We got an embargo request the other night from Jim Reed, telling us that Celebration was canceled, and please do not talk about it until the next morning.
Yeah, it popped
so
up.
We get up. Yeah, it popped up on the Messenger News Service in the evening around 6:00. We got the email or whatever it was just a little bit before 5:00. So we honored the request of Jim Reed and the Celebration Committee.
Yeah.
So it pops up on the Messenger service.
Yeah, shame on you.
Yeah. Well. And the next day, it's a banner headline, like, here we are, your helpful on-the-spot news coverage.
Yeah.
Here, Celebration Council.
Yeah,
we could have been talking about it all afternoon. We observed our traditions, and we respected the request from Celebration and Jim Reed. But something happened over there once again.
They don't like you, Mike. Haven't you figured that out?
Well, I don't care if they like me over there or not. They charge way too much for their advertising, and they tell us practically nothing when you get right down to it. They can report things like that, but as far as the nuts and bolts of City or Growth Alliance, forget it. They don't want that. They want Denny Plouts going over there and saying, here's what you need to print, and they'll print it. Or they'll get Matt Bemrick and say, well, just how great a mayor are you, Matt? Is that a question?
Oh, no.
Just how good-looking are you, Matt Bemrick?
You're going to be boycotted by him now.
Who, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
That brings up another point. When Matt first ran for mayor.
I know. I've heard this.
You've heard the story? Yeah, I'm still ticked. That was, how long, 10 years ago?
At least.
No. Yeah, at least.
Get over it, Mike.
No, well, okay.
Well,
I'm just going to say this is a long history.
Yeah.
Long history.
Yeah, but that's why I'm here, is to keep you up to date and informed so that you can say you know it before everybody else. So here I am. Our next meeting is going to be Monday night.
That's why you're here?
Yeah, that's why I'm here. Yep, I'm the voice of knowledge, I guess. But anyway, our meeting, because of Memorial Day on the 25th, we did move the meeting back to the 18th, so we do have a meeting Monday night. There is a possibility that the council will meet in person, and I think the public will still be Zoom, depending on what the powers to be decide. City Hall, they are talking about possibly being open again on Monday. But again, the water department down there, they're in the middle of a remodel, so I don't think you can go in and pay your water bill because of the remodel next week anyway. So I don't know why you'd want to go into City Hall when there's nothing really in there. But
Right.
We are hoping to have the meeting in person next week. And again, the Zoom meetings have worked out relatively well. I think we've got the hang of it. It's a little bit difficult to carry on an impassioned plea to kind of sway votes, via Zoom. But I think, it is probably an alternative to what we've done. It's probably the best alternative we had.
So Terry,
yes,
I have a real question for you.
I can hardly wait.
Just how good looking are you and how smart are you?
I'll
send the file over to the messenger. They'll have it in their headlines tomorrow.
Yeah, we may have to do some photoshopping.
A little photoshopping.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find a body for you, big shoulders.
Yeah.
Maybe Jesse the Body Ventura.
There we go.
There we
That
are,
would work.
darling.
Perfect. Yeah. So anyway, the city is slowly moving back to normal. A lot of construction projects are ongoing. I'm sure you've seen the cones out there on 5th South, 15th Street, 1st Avenue South has been blocked all the way down to Fairway. I almost said Randall's, but it's Fairway. And then coming up to 15th Street, and then they're going to gradually move north and south on 15th and do the same type of work up on Central Avenue. So that'll be under construction all summer. We're hoping to get a lot of work done, with the weather the way it's been fairly decent, and I think they're moving pretty good. I see Castor's got a lot of concrete stuff laying over there, a lot of sewer work and whatever that they're putting in. So I know they show up early and they're working late and they're doing a great job. The water plant is continuing to move forward, and I think we're going to see that open this fall. So we did suspend a little bit of the fee on that because it wasn't operational yet, and you'll probably see that fee come back on your water bill just in time to get your $25 credit. We'll probably bump it up again, but
I was at a car dealership here in town that gave $2,000, I think, for anything you could push, pull, and drag.
Yeah.
And I think the night before the big sale, the sales managers and some of the other guys went around and upped every car on the lot $2,000.
Yeah, that probably happens.
Oh, no, it did happen.
Yeah, well, anyway, we did, the restaurants, tattoo shops, massage parlors will all be open on Friday, which ought to make you a little bit easier to get along with if you can get your massage and tattoos and your haircut. But
yeah, I need all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is a Cameo Relaxation Spa Incorporated still open?
No, I think they
closed?
Yeah,
Bummer.
Yeah, I think there were.
Fort Dodge is no fun anymore.
Yeah, I think there were some problems with that. But
I didn't have any problem. Wait, what did you have there, Monsignor Menke?
But anyway, we did approve down North First Street the concrete work with Doyle on Monday night. That will be about a 15-day construction, and I talked to Mr. Campbell about that ahead of time to see if he was comfortable with that, because that is the entryway into Amigos, and he said he was fine with it. Now that the restaurant's going to be open full bore, I don't know if he's going to be as enthusiastic, I guess we'll have to talk to him about that. But that road is going to be done. That was approved on Monday night, so we did move forward with that. Last night there was a planning and zoning meeting via Zoom. I sat in on that. I just kind of sat in the corner and watched. It was interesting. This piece of property north of the Aquatic Center, which was considered for an apartment complex by our friends at KDG, which is another hour of conversation.
Oh, I was going to wait for the next segment to get into KDG.
We're not, I don't want, I'm just bringing that up, that it's the same piece of property that KDG looked at for the apartment that the neighbors complained about. Well, it was up last night for rezoning from agricultural to single family. They are going to put a daycare up there as the plan. Which is the city definitely needs daycare. We've got a shortage of daycare facilities.
Wait, the city's getting into the daycare
business?
No,
this is a private enterprise.
Well, why is the city building it?
We're not building it, no.
Is KDG building it?
No, it's the property that KDG had. This is the McNeils.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones that have the daycare
right
over by Godfather's. Mm-hmm. They're going to build a brand new facility.
Oh, good for them.
That's going to be beautiful. I've heard.
Great.
I just saw a sketch last night, but I heard it's a very nice facility, and they're hoping to get that done. They have to go through the Board of Adjustment and have it changed over for use as a daycare center, which shouldn't be a big problem, but then they're, according to what they said last night, they're looking at September as a start date for the daycare. So we'll have the daycare going up there. We got the new apartment complex, over by the middle school that we did workforce tax credits for on Monday night. That will be a 93-unit apartment, 25 townhouses, and we did a letter of support to get those credits, which is pretty much a standard procedure for us. So those should be starting this spring. So a lot of construction is going to be going on. The town is continuing to grow, and I think that's a good thing. We're seeing a lot of positive change.
Did you ever go to the Creole Inn?
No, I remember the Creole Inn, reading about it, but I think that was gone by the time I got here.
Oh, was it really?
Well, I don't remember it.
All right, well, I'll tell you, you Lutheran boys really know how to have fun, I'll tell you. See, if you're Catholic, you can just go to those places. And on Friday night, go to the church, Corpus Christi, Saturday afternoon for confession. Bam!
Yep.
Show
done.
up for Mass in time to get communion on Sunday.
Start over with a clean slate, huh?
It was great, man.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Terry Menke is our guest. We will be back.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
By the way, I missed the Creole Inn, too. 2:30. News is coming up.
The great American outdoors are right outside your back door. Get a great deal on a great tool when you save $20 on the tough and dependable Stihl MS-170 chainsaw. Shop online, pick up at any of over 9,000 local Stihl dealers. Find yours at stihldealers.com. Offer valid for a limited time at participating dealers while supplies last. See dealer for details and consult state local guidelines for availability of promotional products and pricing in your area.
Today on This Old But Still Nice House.
Hey, I'm going to start on getting that paint off the windowsill.
Wouldn't do that. This house was built before 1978. That's probably lead-based paint.
I don't think there's enough here to make a difference. Can't I just do it?
Sure, we can start the lead professional certification program on the Iowa Department of Public Health's website. Or we could just go to the site and find someone from their list of certified professionals.
Seriously, stop scraping. Find out what happens on the next episode of This Old But Still Nice House.
Right now, home sweet home has never been sweeter. Our homes are more important than ever, and finding people we trust to take care of them is just as important. For over 20 years, Home Advisor has been connecting homeowners with trusted local plumbers, electricians, roofers, and more. And now we're making it easier than ever for great pros to join the Home Advisor network. For a limited time, home service businesses can get $200 in free advertising. Visit homeadvisor.com/offer200 for details. That's homeadvisor.com/offer200.
Looking for a quick, healthy dinner for the family tonight? Think pork. Cuts with either loin or chop in their names are an especially good source of lean protein. And ounce for ounce, deliver the kind of fuel you want powering your body. Delicious, nutritious pork. Pick some up today to have on the table in just 10 minutes. Delight your family with a nutritional meal featuring lean, versatile pork. For tips and recipes, go to pork.org/cooking.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News update, I'm Rob Jones. The Webster County Courthouse has now reopened the doors. They asked visitors to be prepared to follow social distancing requirements. They also continue to process paperwork by mail or through the county payment drop box located in the alley beside the courthouse building. County Auditor Doreen Pliner wants to remind everyone that there is in-person absentee voting at a new location this year. The voting has been moved to the DHS building located at 330 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge. That absentee precinct will be open from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. weekdays for absentee voting for the June 2nd primary election. Absentee ballots for the primary election can be cast at the DHS building through 4:30 p.m. June the 1st. If you've received an absentee ballot by mail and wish to return them in person, you can return them to the Webster County Courthouse main lobby drop box. Absentee ballots returned by mail must be postmarked by midnight June 1st. Fort Dodge City Councilman Nevin Conrad was a guest on Divine Intervention with Mike Devine on KVFD-AM 1400. Conrad spoke on a variety of subjects during his appearance. He says that COVID-19 is a delicate balancing act with trying to reopen businesses but still take the necessary precautions with the virus.
Can start to see some of that kind of cabin fever setting in. People want to get out, they want to do things, but at the same time, we've got to respect the fact that this is a highly contagious disease that impacts all the population, but specifically the older population, and we've got a duty to protect them.
Conrad went on to talk about the difficulty that the pandemic has brought on small businesses in the area.
There are some businesses that have been forced to close, and thankfully through the CARES Act, PPP loans, things like that, have offered a little bit of help towards some of these businesses, but definitely tough times for a lot of our friends and neighbors.
Conrad says he feels that the worst of the virus is still yet to come.
We haven't had the worst of it in Iowa yet. We definitely haven't had the worst of it in northwest Iowa. We've actually been fairly lucky so far.
Nevin Conrad is an at-large member of the Fort Dodge City Council. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a chance for scattered rain showers. High of 60. Southeasterly winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. Overcast skies. Tonight, scattered thunderstorms likely. Lows level off around 53. Chance for scattered storms again. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 75. Cloudy skies. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 57.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. May corn down 3.5 at $3.20 1/4. July down 4 cents at $3.18 1/4. September down 3.5 at $3.22 1/2. December down 3 1/4 at $3.32 1/2. May soybeans down 13 1/4 cents at $8.36. July down 12.5 at $8.39 1/2. August down 12 1/4 at $8.41 1/4. September down 11 3/4 at $8.41 1/2. May wheat down 11 1/4 at $5.10 1/2. Soybean meal down $3.40 a ton at $2.85.20. June live cattle down $3.30 at $93.87. August down $3.27 at $98.42. May feeders down $2 at $125.30. August down $2.67 at $133.07. May lean hogs down 2 cents at $68. June down $3.45 at $57.87. From the Alpha Media Farm Desk, I'm Dwayne Murley.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, 236. Obituary is brought to you this hour by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
I'm Phil Gunderson. Gunderson's has a tradition of providing services unmatched in our community. Funeral, cremation, and pre-planning services with certified celebrants on staff, aftercare, video, and customized printed goods that are the standard. We offer live streaming options and community support with remembrance and educational programs. When it's time to look for a funeral home, look to Gunderson's.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
News.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Yes, this obituary brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Patricia Rasmussen has passed away. Patricia May Rasmussen was 78 years old when she died last Tuesday at the Friendship Haven. The arrangements for Patricia May Patricia May Rasmussen are pending at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. It's 2:37 at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Councilman Terry Minke will be back.
This is a last chance alert. It's happening. Publishers Clearinghouse is ready to award $5,000 a week for life in just days. Enter now at PCH.com and you could win $5,000 a week after week, for life. Don't miss this last chance to win $5,000 a week for life on June 30th. Enter at PCH.com before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want the next big winner to be you. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 6/25. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
Farmers can't choose the weather, trade policy, or market prices, but they can choose the most advanced dicamba with confidence. Ingenia herbicide has the lowest volatility of all dicamba salts for more successful on-target applications, and it's straight from the dicamba policy or market prices, but they can choose the most advanced dicamba with confidence. Ingenia herbicide has the lowest volatility of all dicamba salts for more successful on-target applications, and it's straight from the dicamba experts, BASF. So make the confident choice for your soybean crop. Talk to your BASF rep or authorized retailer. Ingenia herbicide is a U.S. EPA restricted use pesticide. Additional state restrictions may apply. Always read and follow label directions.
This is a last chance alert. It's happening. Publishers Clearinghouse is ready to award $5,000 a week for life in just days. Enter now at PCH.com and you could win $5,000 a week after week, for life. Don't miss this last chance to win $5,000 a week for life on June 30th. Enter at PCH.com before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want the next big winner to be you. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 6/25. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
Yes, I'm the Doctor of Truth. With me now is the Doctor of Democracy, probably the smartest guy in our county, if not the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Terry Minke, City Councilman Extraordinaire. How you doing there, Terry? Oh, that's right. Here, wait a minute. I got to turn your mic up. There we go.
There we go. I said only in my room, and I'm the only one in it. So
yeah, well, I don't know if
I won that race.
No, well, good job, man.
Yeah. Well, I did want to do a shout-out to the Blandon for their story time. I don't know if you've seen Hope there on there, but she's doing a great job. She reads a book about every day and has been working on some different art projects. So I wanted to make sure that we appreciate the work that they're doing in these times, and hopefully the Blandon will be open shortly. So you can go down there and peruse the art.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, you'd be good to get some art in your life.
I do have art in my life.
Oh, art.
It's mainly literature. I know. Guys accuse me every now and then of being on the radio like I'm on a bar stool down at the beer garden or on 6th Street years ago. And I look at them and say, yeah.
Point being what?
Point being what am I hiding that or something?
Yeah.
No, if you come to my condo sometimes, you'll see the whole thing is full of books.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate. I read a lot of books, and John Sanford's one of my favorite authors, and he came out with a new book the middle of the month, and I went back and started rereading his series. I think he's up to 26 now, and I have the 14th book on my desk that I've read in the last month. So
John Sanford specializes in what?
In murder mysteries.
Murder mysteries.
Yeah,
okay. He's
out of Minnesota. I mean, obviously he's moved to warmer climates because Minnesota's cold, but
sure is.
He's writes a series of books on prey. Most of his titles are prey, and then he's got a couple of different detective series too. But very good author, very entertaining. I think one of the better murder mystery authors out there right now.
I'm going to make a recommendation to you.
What's that?
Walter Mosley.
Walter Mosley.
African-American man about our age, but he writes like Hemingway about the black culture and black community in the 1940s and 50s, and his main protagonist is Easy Rawlins, who was a veteran.
I've read some of those, yep.
Yeah, he has another segment called Fearless Jones. I think there's only 3 in that series.
Yeah.
But it's like you're looking into another time. It really is. He brings that whole time to life.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's great stuff.
Yeah, well, I read a lot of nonfiction, but I try to every once in a while, stimulate myself. So I have a book on Benjamin Rush, who's one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, and I just got that book and looking forward to reading that. So maybe I can talk intelligently about the Revolution era next time we get together.
Yeah, people will really be tuned into that. We'd have to go out for coffee somewhere, but where? By the way, the courthouse is open.
Yep.
And that will mean Republicans are responsible for thousands of deaths throughout our community. Everybody in Webster County will probably be dead because conservatives on the Board of Supervisors have reopened the courthouse.
Oh, that's a terrible thing.
It is a terrible thing.
Yeah. So anyway, you want to talk a little bit about KDG. I don't want to talk too much about it.
I would just like to know, before we do this, I'd like to know the plan. What's the plan? What's the plan for getting us back to work? Don't just tell us no.
Well,
that's an easy thing to do.
Well,
how dumb do you have to be to hear that or even say that over and over again?
Yeah. Well, we basically have reached a point, I think, where I think there's a certain amount of frustration on both sides associated with this transaction. I mean, the workforce tax credits, they had an opportunity to apply for an extension. There was a timeline on that. They did not apply for the extension, so now it's going to have to be refiled and redone again. I don't know if another entity comes in, if they can pick that up. Same thing with the brownfield tax credit. They had an $800,000 tax credit, I believe was the number, to do the asbestos and lead removal in the Warden. That could have been done at any time in the last 3 years, but the problem was that they had to do it, and then they had to pay for it, and then they would get reimbursed by the government. Obviously, they didn't have the funds to go in and do what they wanted to do. They keep telling us they've got banks on board to support the financing and the construction process, but this was kind of a no-brainer. You've got to do the asbestos and the lead paint removal before you can do anything, any kind of construction, demolition, or cleanup for that matter. And they did not do that. So that brownfield tax credit could have been reapplied for and extended, but they did not apply or extend for that. The historic tax credits, which is a major funding portion of this project, there's a certain amount of money every year. Last year they went from 2 application periods to 1. For some reason or other, it was not picked up by anybody that they had done that, and so the consolidation into 1 application period.
We're just right on top of this, right down the line.
Well, yeah, it's been a real debacle, and so the tax credits, they had a certain amount of time they had to apply for them, and now that time frame, I don't think they're going to be able to. I think that time frame is passed, and so when they ask for more time, the question is how much more time do they need? We were told in November that they could have, get us all the information in a week, all the financial data. Well, nobody's seen that.
Well, this whole thing with KDG has been more of a wish and a prayer than anything else.
Yeah, and again, I think as this progresses, if the city proceeds and goes back and tries to get the property back, I'm all in favor of more or less running the show ourselves for a period of time, get the thing cleaned up. I mean, you're going to have to clean it up anyway, no matter what the end game is. If we find another developer, they're going to have to clean it up, or if we have to tear it down, which is the worst case scenario, it's still going to have all the lead paint and the asbestos removed. And so we as a city, if the property comes back to us one way or the other, either we get it back via a quick claim, or if we have to go back through some kind of litigation, that property will come back to us. We can apply for a federal grant to get the thing cleaned up. It's a 20% match on the city's responsibility, and I think the feds pick up 80%, and so that would be a relatively easy thing to do, apply for that grant because it's already been applied for and approved for the property, so we can duplicate their efforts if we can get all their information, which I think we can. But I think that should be our first step, is to get the property cleaned up. It's an eyesore. There's broken windows. The sidewalk on 9th Street on the west side of the building needs to be repaired and has not been repaired. You recall the facade fell down, was that a year and a half ago, less?
Right.
Yeah, and the city sent their contractor over that was working on City Hall to pick up that piece, and I'm sure that charge was never paid by KDG. It was their property, and they should have been responsible for that, but I'm pretty sure they never paid for it.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you look at the building, and obviously it's not getting better. It's getting worse. The windows being open obviously is a concern. The building is still structurally sound. It was very well built back in the 20s, and I think it can rise to be a great asset. I mean, you look at the Warrior Hotel project, you look at the Hotel Blackhawk project in Davenport. There are properties that have been renovated. Even in Des Moines, they had one that was recently renovated. And it's an opportunity, but again, we just have to find the right components.
Look, I grew up around here. I mean, all our little towns were flourishing. Yep. They all had their own business district. It was a different world.
Yeah.
We're not going to bring back the Warden the way it was.
No, and I don't think that's the expectations. I think having retail or a restaurant in the bottom is a good idea. I think maybe making part of it residential, part of it make it into a hotel complex, a couple of floors, maybe have one floor designated for senior living, working in conjunction with a nursing home somewhere in town. I think there's opportunity there, but again, it's been stalled for 3 years because we've been, I think, misled with false promises, and I think...
that would be wishing a prayer. I think somebody said that a little earlier.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, and it's just frustrating. I sympathize with KDG to a certain extent, but again, to a certain extent...
You what?
Well, I think, it's a big
You're
project.
the one that's been on this radio station cussing them out for months.
Yeah, that's
now
why
you
I said
feel sympathy?
For a certain...
Are you schizophrenic?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Split personality or something?
Yeah.
Maybe not schizophrenic, but split personality?
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, it's just frustrating. I mean, we got to be careful what we say because it's kind of in a delicate stage right now.
Oh, so that's what it is.
Yeah.
You don't want anybody at KDG to hear a city councilman say they suck.
Yeah, I'm speaking
so
as a
we have the
taxpayer.
dual personality. What is your other personality's name?
I'm a
Tara or what? Tara and Terry.
I'm just a concerned citizen that has concerns about the future of downtown because I want to see downtown succeed. I want to see it lit up well. I want to see it safe for everybody. I want to see the stores and people, revive on Central Avenue. And I think the Warden Plaza is key to the downtown redevelopment. If we get people living down there, they're going to be shopping down there. And you look at our purchases up on North 8th Street, we're hoping to clean that area up and create an entryway from the north down to the downtown area. So we're spending a lot of time and a lot of effort to make downtown appealing, and when you got the warden sitting there festering like an open wound, it's very difficult to feel good about everything else. But the Wakanza Annex is moving forward.
Is downtown coming along as you thought it would?
Well, I think it's been...
the Crosstown Connector was supposed to do a lot for downtown.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, we've made a lot of advancements. I think Chris Patrick and the Main Street Group are doing a great job. I think they're cleaning up downtown and making an effort to get the facades done up there, around John Daniels Building and a little bit more to the west.
Mm-hmm.
That's $1 million project. I think the Main Street landscape program, the master plan that will be coming out shortly, get the parking situation straightened out. It's been tough on the downtown businesses because a lot of those were not, you hate to say financially stable, but they're not large, thriving businesses, and so it is shut down, slow down, lack of disposable money, and people staying home has affected downtown pretty severely. So I think that's part of our, I read about it on the thing, the Growth Alliance survey thing, and I heard David mention it yesterday on your show, something about the second round of stimulus money. Well, I think the second round of stimulus money should be a combination of helping some of these small businesses, maybe pay rent for a month or two, get people out and get them shopping again and get them more comfortable coming downtown because obviously, the mall is not attracting a lot of people right now because there's very little left out there.
Yeah.
And I think, retail should be more than Target, Walmart. It's got to be, we got to have these small niche businesses.
I never wanted Walmart to come to town or any of those places.
Well,
but it's a free country. I guess you can't keep them out.
Well.
But as I recall, they were lured here by city council people at the time who wanted that property tax revenue. And in the process, crushed downtown, but I guess they got their money. Listen, I have an announcement here. Rob Jones, our news director, just gave me this. St. Edmund Catholic School has a new head coach for varsity girls basketball. C.J. Tracy now takes the helm of the Gales program. He confirmed the hire on Twitter, saying, "I'm happy to announce I am now the head girls basketball coach at St. Edmund. I'm excited for this opportunity and ready to get in the gym. I'm looking forward to working with a great group of girls." C.J. Tracy replaces Steve Newberger, who announced his resignation earlier this spring. So welcome, Coach Tracy.
Yep. Good to have a good program over there. I hope they can get back out on the court. I had a couple of softball players in this week that told me that they are doing, small scrimmages, small group scrimmages, and they're hoping to have some kind of a tournament play to get the girls busy again. I don't know what's going to happen with the girls' state softball tournament. I'm sure Lori would probably be more than happy to talk to you if you could find her.
I don't know if she talks to me. She used to like to come over and talk to me, but I guess it was the whole Olson Park thing.
You scared her. I was there right before lunch today.
Scared Lori?
Yep.
I don't think so.
Marlo. You scared Marlo in
No, I didn't scare Marlo either. Marlo, and this is what I love about the guy. He very deeply, deeply doesn't give a damn about nearly everything. I love him.
Yeah, but I was at Olson Park right before lunch, and they are putting water in the pond, and I can hear the rain out there, so that'll help. They were using a garden hose to fill that pond, which could be a 3-4 day venture if they do it that way. But, the pond is looking very nice. They're hoping to get the rest of the plantings done. And so, the sidewalks are done. Now we can move into renovating the barn and hopefully building a new shelter. And I think that's going to be a very nice addition to the south side of town. It's only taken, 7-8 years of hard work to get it there, but, we've finally got it. So I think it's going to get better.
Way to go, Menke. Proud of you.
Yeah. But, Dean Hill had a lot of work done on that, too, and I appreciate that.
Dean represented his ward pretty well.
Yep, he was there. He was involved in everything. He felt the heartbreak of, the Friends of Olson Park when they went. Tried to say and keep it active. But
I still can't believe that even happened. Here's a group of people calling themselves the Friends of Olson Park. They volunteer their time. Even Jim Kramer donated his professional services.
Yeah.
And I remember Jim telling me on the air one time, I guess no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
And they were just dismissed and thrown away.
Yeah, I would like to
thank you very much, Parks and Rec Board, and I know who you are.
Yeah,
I know who you are.
I would just like to throw out there that KDG did mention that they're current on their taxes on the Warden Plaza.
You are just giving so much love to
KDG
today.
Yeah, but they were due on when was it, April 1st? They paid them on March 11th, and those were taxes back that were due back in September 2019 and March of 2020. So they did pay their taxes, but unfortunately it was just a day or two ago, so they look good. What a move.
You're almost as cynical as I am, and I really like that. I really like that.
It's just, I don't know. I lay awake at night and I think of things, if I was 40 years old and I had a few $1 million, I just think of all the potential that this town has. There's a lot of opportunity out there. And again, I think now is the time, if you've got a little bit extra money with the opportunity zone, you should be investing in the Warden Plaza because it's going to be a great, I think, economic boom for whoever ends up with it.
Are you investing?
I don't have any money.
I
lost all my money.
Guys
in the stock
with no
market.
money should always give investment advice.
Yeah.
Attention, rich people. Do as the broke guy says.
Yeah. Well, the secret there is that you don't risk what you got. You risk what somebody else is willing to give you.
OPP, yeah? Other people's money?
Yep. Well, then it's that trickle-down economics. You get going, and then it just trickles down into the community. So,
yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So
anyway,
spend
some of your money.
Yep. Spend some of your money.
By the way, I have another announcement here.
Perfect.
The Fort Dodge Community School District has announced a tentative new date for graduation. The district released a statement that they had pushed graduation back from its original date of May 31st to the new date of July 26th. They said that graduation will be at Dodger Stadium and that they plan on following social distancing guidelines given by the state at that time. There could possibly be a limit on the number of guests per graduate, as other senior class-related events like prom canceled and class night, all of that canceled.
Yeah.
So, this information has been out there, but I don't know if that many people are aware of it. So
you decided to take 2 minutes of my time to spread the rumor.
It's not your time, Terry.
Okay,
This is my time that I'm sharing with
but
you.
I had to talk about the mountain bike club and the
Whip it on me there, Doctor.
Auction. Well, the mountain bike club, as you know or may not know, they've been working quite diligently out right across the river from Amigos down there on Lizard Creek. They've got a very well maintained path over there through the timber. I encourage you to go over there. You could probably walk it. Just watch out for they've got a lot of bikes over there on weekends and whatever. They're also looking at renovating the mountain bike trails over by Olson Park eventually. So that's a good opportunity for you to get out and do a walk in the woods, which was a very good book too, by the way, by Bill Bryson.
You cut my announcement short for that?
Yep. And the other thing I wanted to make sure you get out there, the Gene Giraffe Project, which is the Paso Project.
Very good program.
Very good program. Lydia's involved with that. They are doing an online silent auction. Greenpeace with the Wellness Project is kind of promoting that a little bit. So if you get an opportunity, if you have items that you'd like to donate, get a hold of Colleen down at the Wellness Project and take care of it. I sound an echo. Are you recording me?
Yeah. Yes, I am, as a matter of fact.
Perfect. Good. I'm hearing myself.
You'll be on the news tomorrow there, big fella.
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Meeting on Monday night. Again, you probably won't be able to attend in person. You can on Zoom. But it sounds like the council people will get together, have a big group hug, and then we'll go to our individual chairs after.
You don't suppose we
could
could we have some sort of plan from these medical professionals? Can we, the people of the United States and of Webster County, know what's going on? Can we have some sort of peek into the future, even the next 3-4 months? Because you're telling us a lot of dire consequences, and then you don't tell us what to do about it other than to do as we're told. That's a little annoying.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's a good response.
Yeah.
That was great. I like that. Man. No wonder they call you the smartest guy sitting next to Kim.
I got I got yelled at the other day because I was yelling back at the TV because I was watching our illustrious leader, and I was, this whole thing about injecting peroxide in your system. And
what's the problem? Drink a little Clorox. That'll get rid of the virus. It'll kill you too.
Yeah.
I got to go, Terry. Thank you for being on.
You bet.
3:00 in the afternoon. Thanks for listening.
Straight talk on life and money. This is the Dave Ramsey Show on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD, Fort Dodge.
A plunge on Wall Street. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The Dow down over 600 points leading up to the close after the Fed chief's pandemic warning.
The head of the Fed says we're in the worst recession since World War II.
Avoidable household and business insolvencies can weigh on growth for years to come.
Jerome Powell warning of the potential for a prolonged recession in comments via webcast, also calling for more government relief for the coronavirus battered economy, which is hemorrhaging millions of jobs each week.
Fox's Lillian Wu, Powell suggesting it's worth the cost of more government help to avoid lasting damage. A newly revealed list could lead to more questions about the criminal case the Justice Department wants to drop against the former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who's been trying to take back his guilty plea for lying to FBI agents about contacts with the Russian ambassador during the presidential transition. 2 U.S. senators just releasing the list of Obama administration officials who requested the so-called unmasking of Flynn as the official on calls with the ambassador. That list includes former Vice President Joe Biden and former FBI Chief James Comey. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who chairs the Government Oversight Subcommittee, is inviting the acting director of National Intelligence to testify next week. Workers for one major company might never have to go back to the office.
Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey emailing employees telling them that they'll be allowed to work from home forever, even after the lockdowns are lifted. He says, quote, "The past few months have proven we can make that work. So if our employees are in a role and situation that enables them to work from home and they want to continue to do so forever, we will make that happen."
Fox Business's Jackie DeAngelis. Not all tech giants are taking the same approach. Apple plans to return more employees to work on site later this month, with another round of returns globally in July. America is listening to Fox News.
Americans rely on affordable, reliable package delivery from the U.S. Postal Service. It's a lifeline for rural communities. It powers our cities. But Washington politicians want to impose a massive package rate hike on the Postal Service, a 400% increase. We can't afford that these days. Quadrupling the price to send a package? That means 4 times the cost for seniors to ship their medication, 4 times to deliver household necessities, and 4 times the cost for small businesses. Unneeded rate hikes that will harm Main Street and everyday Americans. America can't afford the package tax now. Call Congress now. 202-224-3121. Tell them to stop the package tax. The Postal Service is an economic lifeline for small businesses and rural customers all over the country. That's 202-224-3121 and tell them to stop the postal rate hike. Paid for by the Package Coalition.
A criminal case against the former president of Michigan State University is tossed out. It stems from the case against convicted Dr. Larry Nassar.
Luanna Simon was to stand trial on charges she knew about a sexual misconduct complaint against Nassar and lied to police about it. Larry Nassar was a doctor at Michigan State and a top physician for USA Gymnastics until his 2017 conviction for sexual misconduct. He's serving decades in prison. Eaton County Judge John Maurer ruled the prosecution did not have enough evidence to show that Simon knew of the nature of Nassar's crimes. Simon, who stepped down as school president hours after Nassar's sentencing, said she knew of a complaint, but not against Nassar specifically. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
An emergency measure aimed at helping businesses trying to stay afloat in the coronavirus pandemic wins approval in New York City. It's a cap on the fees charged to restaurants by third-party delivery services, including Grubhub and Uber Eats. The new rules designed to help cut costs for independent restaurants that are struggling. An online giant is getting back up to speed.
Amazon's been slower during the coronavirus outbreak. There was a big spike in online shopping when physical stores started closing and limits placed on how much product suppliers could send to Amazon fulfillment centers. Those limits are lifted this week, and a company spokeswoman says delivery speeds are improving. Retail analysts say the delays have made ordering online with in-store or curbside pickup more popular, and some small companies have started doing the shipping themselves rather than go through Amazon. Chris Foster, Fox News.
One optimistic sign for the global travel industry, the biggest tour operator in the world, TUI, based in Germany, says it may begin to resume operations in June or early July. However, they also plan to cut 8,000 jobs, anticipating weaker global demand. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. The Webster County Courthouse has now reopened the doors. They asked visitors to be prepared to follow social distancing requirements. They also continue to process paperwork by mail or through the county payment drop box located in the alley beside the courthouse building. County Auditor Doreen Pliner wants to remind everyone that there is in-person absentee voting at a new location this year. The voting has been moved to the DHS building located at 330 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge. That absentee precinct will be open from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. weekdays for absentee voting for the June 2nd primary election. Absentee ballots for the primary election can be cast at the DHS building through 4:30 p.m. June the 1st. If you've received an absentee ballot by mail and wish to return them in person, you can return them to the Webster County Courthouse main lobby drop box. Absentee ballots returned by mail must be postmarked by midnight June 1st. From Radio Iowa, a new Test Iowa site for drive-through COVID-19 testing will open Saturday in Storm Lake, which is home to 2 Tyson facilities. About 800 people work at the turkey processing plant and 2,400 work at the pork plant. When Tyson's pork plants in Columbus Junction and Waterloo were closed temporarily due to coronavirus outbreaks among workers, production shifted to the plant in Storm Lake. In mid-April, Governor Reynolds asked federal officials for more testing supplies so workers at all 18 meatpacking and food processing plants in Iowa could be tested. Reynolds says the drive-through Test Iowa sites are being used in many of those locations.
We have a plan in place, and we've got a great logistics team that once we get a site established, they're looking at the next 2 sites, where we can do the testing, what makes the most sense for the facility, and how we can move forward with that.
The first Test Iowa site began operation April 25th in Des Moines, and there are now 6 other Test Iowa sites running across the state. Webster County Public Health has announced that a child in the county has tested positive for COVID-19. That case would be the first of its type in the county. That new confirmed case brings the total case count in the county to 11. 5 of those 11 have recovered, and the isolation restrictions have been lifted off of them. County public health officials consider a patient to be recovered when they pass all CDC requirements to leave isolation and their case has been closed. Those requirements include no fever for 72 hours, improvement of other symptoms, and then it's to 3 years probation stemming from an incident in Carroll County in September. Court documents say McElroy pleaded guilty to first-degree theft after originally being charged with felony robbery and theft. McElroy received a deferred judgment, so court records of the incident will be expunged once he successfully completes probation. Police say that McElroy assaulted a man, stole his wallet, and then when the victim tried to reach in the window of his vehicle, McElroy allegedly dragged the victim until the victim let go. The incident occurred the morning of September 19th outside of Ossie's Show Club in Carroll. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a chance for scattered rain showers. High of 60, southeasterly winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. Overcast skies tonight, scattered thunderstorms likely, lows level off around 53. Chance for scattered storms again tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 75, cloudy skies. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 57.
This portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers.
Here's great news. Studies show that including lean pork in your diet can help you lose weight while maintaining more muscle. We're talking lean, strong muscle. Eating lean pork helps you feel fuller longer after you eat, and it gives your body the high-quality protein it needs. Celebrate your success with a tasty and healthy pork dish. Find great pork recipes and cooking tips at pork.org/cooking.
Michael Devine, broadcasting live.
That's right, we're broadcasting live, and we're pleased to announce that Greg Hora is our next guest. Greg, of course, is a past president of the Iowa Pork Producers and current president of the Webster County Pork Producers. Greg, always good to talk to you.
Hi, Mike. Yeah, you bet. On a day of changes of weather once again.
You know, Greg, I've been listening to a lot of experts, and this is what they have to say. Stay in place, social distance, wash your hands, don't touch your face too much, and I've done all those things, and I've been doing them for a long, long time. But it still seems, and I read the papers every morning, I read the Cedar Rapids Gazette, Des Moines Register, a couple others, it still seems that we're being sometimes harshly admonished to stay inside and do nothing. And I'm wondering what the plan is. I mean, do we need to hear more from experts somewhere about what's actually happening? I know we have a deadly virus that's killing people, and it's highly contagious. For God's sake, I know that.
Yep.
But what has been going on for 3 months to give us some sort of relief, not a cure necessarily, but what have we learned in 3 months? And better yet, can you tell us what the next 3 months will look like from your perspective without using a lot of fear and scare tactics? Because I think we're adults. I think we're adults, Greg. We can probably handle the truth, you know.
I know it. Well, it's interesting. You're asking on the human health and medical side, and I'm actually on the food production side of things.
I understand that,
know.
but you are very, very. You are one of the people, and your industry is one of the groups that are targeted, if I could say so.
Yeah.
The packing plants some of them have decided to open at least partially. Prestige, I believe, is open partially, and there are people who sit on the sidelines and criticize those moves intensely.
Well, what's interesting, I'll help answer your question a little bit there, and everybody has their sources of information, and we'll talk a little bit about the updates from maybe the last week on what's happening in the pork industry and the processing industry. But, you know, I got in about 2 o'clock this afternoon, so I came down on my computer to look up a little bit of what information Iowa Pork and National Pork is putting out. And as I have been looking here this last hour, for your listeners' sake, just about any organization or agency involved in pork production, beef production, corn, soybeans, those organizations all have COVID-19 website pages. And I just, you know, attention to your listeners, USDA has quite a extensive website with there's probably 75 different categories of information from consumer interest. And Mike, you've asked me about that quite a bit here in the last 6 or 8 weeks. How does this impact on consumers? And your listeners know I always talk about the human health perspective and the nutrition perspective of any protein. And, of course, that's what's actually happening around the world right now. When we talk about exports and we talk about other people in the world that want to eat pork, they're buying at a ferocious pace right now. And your listeners have heard me say in the last couple months the pork prices have plummeted. 2 weeks ago when I was riding the corn planter, we talked at this time, I had made reference to the CARD report, the Center of Agricultural Research, down at Iowa State University, and they projected at that time Iowa pork producers were going to lose $2 billion. Actually, it was $2.1 billion. So, you know, you're asking me some things about where we go with respect to the human health, and we're going to hear more cases. I think everybody realizes we're going to hear about more cases because we're doing more testing.
The tragedy of it is this virus is going to keep on killing people until we find a way to corral it somehow. But by the same token, and this is not an easy thing to say, we have responsibilities as well. We have to consider the lives of the people who have been shut down for a long time, who can't pay their bills, those sorts of things. What is the safe and prudent way to get the economy moving a little bit? You just said the pork producers or the pork industry is going to lose $2 billion. That can't be sneezed at. That can't be dismissed.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That's $2 billion in Iowa. One of the reports, I just actually read it last night, the beef industry is actually losing more right now due to a number of factors in the packing industry. Pork industry nationwide, we're going to be down about $5 billion from where we were projected on March 1st. This thing has a long tail on it, which means there's going to be a lot of continued problems or losses for a prolonged period of time. Just like you're asking me about the economy coming back, we heard in the last 3 days the airline industry say it's going to take 5 years to get back where they were.
Yeah, Boeing doesn't know if it's ever coming back.
Well, and quite honestly, we as American citizens know that the federal government's just printing money now. They're not going out borrowing it; they're just printing it. And
absolutely, they're not. And apparently, there's $3 trillion now that's been requested for emergency aid, but that's on top of the $2 trillion. So we're $5 trillion in the hole, And how long is that going to take to pay that back?
Well, and that's not even all of it. There's probably another $5 trillion that's already been dispatched in other means. And quite honestly, there's a lot of organizations in the meat supply industry that I'm talking about here generally, trying to get some financial resources to help shore up these losses. And we all know that there's going to continue to be bailouts. This next phase of funding is called the HEROES Act. And, the HEROES Act has been championed by Senator Grassley and Senator Ernst because of some of the huge devastation that's happening, not just in the pork and beef sectors, but in a lot of other sectors in the country. But, yeah, I mean, you ask a very broad and emphasizing question of just where are we going to go? And, unfortunately, we all know, listening on the radio and watching the news, that we're going to be probably between 20 and 25% unemployment by 4th of July.
By the way, unemployment at its highest during the Great Depression was 25%. We're over 20 right now.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But you never hear that. You never hear that. You just hear these pronouncements that if you don't stay home or complain about staying home, you're somehow weak or a whiner.
I know.
I mean, it's terrible.
Well, and I think I know your philosophy on some of this well enough, and we have different studies that come out, and so you can't just say, well, because a unauthorized release of a letter by NBC says Iowa or Polk County's got the highest gain or the 8th highest county in the last week. Well, there's a lot more numbers that go to that, and so we have to kind of be careful about that. But I do want to tell your listeners that from the last 3 weeks that we've had some major concerns about the packing plant industry in the pork sector. We're getting back online. Right now, there is a backup of pigs, of approximately 2 million pigs that have not been harvested in the last 5 weeks. This information comes from Dr. Steve Meyer, economist that we in the pork industry use quite often. And also Dr. Dermot Hayes out of Iowa State University. And what that really means, 2 million pigs, is that's a full week of the harvest. And so that means if we had no pigs coming in next week, that we could catch up in 1 week. However, that's not a reality because our packing plants, they pretty much run at 95+% capacity. One of those plants that was shut down for a couple weeks was down at Columbus Junction. They're back at about 95% capacity today, which is pretty much normal. So that's good. That means they've done the surveillance testing. They've found enough workers to fill those lines, and they're helping the farmers catch up with the backlog of pigs. And, of course, I always speak about what's that mean to the consumers, and we all know, and we talked about this 1 week ago, when the Hy-Vee Corporation made the announcement that there was only a limit of 4 packages of meat, protein, be it pork, beef, or chicken, per customer. And so we know that supply chains are going to try to catch up here. But for the harvest facilities, we may not really ever catch up to the 2 million pigs that have been pushed back. That's why there's still some concerns about euthanizing market-ready, excellent meat quality pigs.
Well, you and
we're a little bit more optimistic this week.
Well, that's good. You and Bill Horn before you certainly sparked my interest in agriculture in Iowa as an international business. And I know we were in a struggle with the trade wars before this ever happened. Now today, the Dow Jones has tanked 500 points because the Fed chair has warned of a economic recovery that may take a long, long time. This affects us all. So, again, I need a little something, and I hope we can agree on this, Greg, and I hope everybody can agree. Yes, we need to do all the things. I have gloves. I have a mask in my studio here. I have a mask in my car. I practice social distancing. I do all the things that are suggested and recommended. But we need to change the conversation here a little bit. in light of the economy. That can no longer just be dismissed as frivolous. I can't ever believe it was presented as frivolous, but there you go.
No, well, we have a lot of heartache stories out there, which all have to be understood. But this thing is going to have continued problems with food security to families. There's some political pundits out there and politicians that are talking about paying Americans $2,000 a month.
I'll take it, but what's that going to do?
That's going to put money out there, but it's not an incentive. We've got some real concerns about how we're fundamentally changing the viewpoint of free enterprise economy, but understanding it's because of a major health concerns and problems, and we don't have a vaccine.
Now, Greg, you're not going to tell me that agriculture is exclusively a free market economy situation, are you?
No.
Thank you.
Actually, there has been the past 3 decades, the pork and beef sectors have not wanted to take direct government farm program payments. We have other farm program payments, of course, in the grains, but this is the worst in the pork sector that it's been since 1998, when we had hogs go down to 8 cents. And, at that time I had 1 barn of pigs we had to sell, and we had some of them pre-sold, but the others, it was pretty ugly. And that's happening right now. And what happened in 1998, to let your listeners know, is that we fundamentally changed the way that pork production looked out here in the countryside. And we washed out a lot of rank-and-file, fair-to-finish farm operations. We had some disease issues back there in the 90s also that helped push that along. But, there's some real concerns about how we change things in rural America, and especially in areas of northwest Iowa, like we're talking here primarily, where we don't have a lot of positive COVID cases right now. But we as farmers are still out there doing what we're supposed to be doing with our corn, soybeans, and we're thankful that hopefully we get a little bit of moisture this week, and that we keep our animals safe and continue to grow and provide food to Americans and to those around the world.
Well, we got a little precipitation just a few minutes ago. I walked outside to get something out of my car, and the street was all wet, so it probably didn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't anything to get really worked up about, but I did hear the thunder outside and the whole thing. I haven't heard a good old springtime Midwest thunderstorm in a long time.
No, it's been a little while, and if the listeners know, and we as farmers know that you think back to what was happening a year ago, and of course, or 2 years ago, because we've had 2 pretty wet springs, and I know you've had some other people that talk about that too. But anyway, always kind of be careful what you wish for, because things have a way of averaging out when it comes to weather, or when it comes to how we as business people operate our farms.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you're on with us every week here lately, Greg, because the pork industry is so essential to our area. And there's so many reports, even on the national news, the network news, that these packing plants are flash spots or hot spots, and that people are dying and people are getting corona and all these sort of things. And I have no doubt that that's true. But the real brutal question here is, or let me set the scenario, and let me set this up first by saying, if we shelter in place, people are going to die. If we open up the economy, probably more people are going to die. However, is the rate of death going to be that much different? And would it justify opening up the economy? Now, that's a brutal equation. That's just not the way we're used to thinking at all. But this is a desperate time, and we have to have this conversation. And we need to have it without a lot of back and forth and partisan nonsense, too. I mean, this involves us.
You think that'll happen?
No, I don't. I'm so disappointed. I'm disappointed in my country here in the last
Oh, my.
We got together after 9/11. We rallied to the flag during the World War II. We even did it in the Vietnam era, my era. to some extent. But no, clearly this is a naked and open partisan battle. And as a result, not only are we frightened about the future, we have people pouring fuel on that fire, which is disgusting.
Yep, I understand. Well, and we all have those resources or network of people that we receive information from. And I know from the pork producer side of things, because I've been fortunate to have known a lot of pork producers across many states, and those people are advocates in be it Indiana or Wisconsin or Illinois or Ohio, and everybody has a story to tell, and there's a lot of concern out there right now. But I do want to remind your listeners once again, and I shared this the last couple of weeks, Iowa Pork, in cooperation with the governor's office and Iowa Department of Ag Land and Stewardship, that's Iowa Agriculture Secretary Mike Nag, have set up the program called Pass the Pork. And I mentioned that the last couple of weeks. I know that Pass the Pork, what it meant once again was there was butcher shops from across the state of Iowa that were contacted and were committed that if Iowa pork producers donated pigs to their facility, that through a funding program, which is donations, that those processors at our local butcher shops around the state of Iowa would process those hogs, and that meat would go to food pantries to be administered by the Iowa Food Bank Association in Des Moines, but to be distributed throughout the entire state of Iowa. And just one of many activities that are going on with regards to taking our excess pork and pigs that cannot be processed, as we've talked previously in this segment, but getting it to those that need good meat protein. So it's been really successful. To my knowledge, I think there's about $150,000 donated so far. Any of your listeners that want to contact that information or website, just go to iowapork.org and look for Pass the Pork. And it's a very simple sign up to donate $25 or $50 or $100 or $200 and be part of that, helping out others that are really in tough shape right now.
Well, Greg Hoare is our guest, and this portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers. We'll be coming back with Greg Hoare in about 7 or 8 minutes. Thank you, Greg.
Yes.
All right, this is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for that.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
Yeah, it's 3:30. News is next.
The North Central Iowa Regional Solid Waste Agency reminds you, you must be a resident of Webster County, Humboldt County, Eagle Grove, Manson, or Rockwell City to bring your garbage to the landfill. Loads from outside the area must go to their own designated landfill. Once again, to bring your garbage to the landfill, you must be a resident of Webster County, Humboldt County, Eagle Grove, Manson, or Rockwell City. This has been a reminder from the North Central Iowa Regional Solid Waste Agency, Fort Dodge. Online at ncirswa.org. Follow them on Facebook, too.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. The Webster County Courthouse has now reopened the doors. They asked visitors to be prepared to follow social distancing requirements. They also continue to process paperwork by mail or through the county payment drop box located in the alley beside the courthouse building. County Auditor Doreen Pliner wants to remind everyone that there is in-person absentee voting at a new location this year. The voting has been moved to the DHS building located at 330 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge. That absentee precinct will be open from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. weekdays for absentee voting for the June 2nd primary election. Absentee ballots for the primary election can be cast at the DHS building through 4:30 p.m. June the 1st. If you've received an absentee ballot by mail and wish to return them in person, you can return them to the Webster County Courthouse main lobby drop box. Absentee ballots returned by mail must be postmarked by midnight June 1st. From Radio Iowa, a new Test Iowa site for drive-through COVID-19 testing will open Saturday in Storm Lake, which is home to 2 Tyson facilities. About 800 people work at the turkey processing plant and 2,400 work at the pork plant. When Tyson's pork plants in Columbus Junction and Waterloo were closed temporarily due to coronavirus outbreaks among workers, production shifted to the plant in Storm Lake. In mid-April, Governor Reynolds asked federal officials for more testing supplies so workers at all 18 meatpacking and food processing plants in Iowa could be tested. Reynolds says the drive-through Test Iowa sites are being used in many of those locations.
We have a plan in place, and we've got a great logistics team that once we get a site established, they're looking at the next 2 sites, where we can do the testing, what makes the most sense for the facility, and how we can move forward with that.
The first Test Iowa site began operation April 25th in Des Moines, and there are now 6 other Test Iowa sites running across the state. Webster County Public Health has announced that a child in the county has tested positive for COVID-19. That case would be the first of its type in the county. That new confirmed case brings the total case count in the county to 11. 5 of those 11 have recovered, and the isolation restrictions have been lifted off of them. County public health officials consider a patient to be recovered when they pass all CDC requirements to leave isolation and their case has been closed. Those requirements include no fever for 72 hours, improvement of other symptoms, and that it's been at least 7 days since the symptoms first appeared. The Webster County Public Health COVID-19 hotline is available 7 days a week by calling 515-227-7153. 19-year-old Fort Dodge resident Tyrus Purcell McElroy has been sentenced to 3 years probation stemming from an incident in Carroll County in September. Court documents say McElroy pleaded guilty to first-degree theft after originally being charged with felony robbery and theft. McElroy received a deferred judgment, so court records of the incident will be expunged once he successfully completes probation. Police say that McElroy assaulted a man, stole his wallet, and then when the victim tried to reach in the window of his vehicle, McElroy allegedly dragged the victim until the victim let go. The incident occurred the morning of September 19th outside of Ossie's Show Club in Carroll. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
During this challenging and unprecedented time, Gunderson's is here to serve with expert guidance and understanding to each family and their unique needs. We provide options for funeral, cremation, memorial, virtual, and webcast services, either presently or at a later date. We understand that grief does not wait. We are trained to help you walk this path to bring comfort and support. Every life deserves to be recognized and celebrated, whether it be together or afar.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a chance for scattered rain showers. High of 60, southeasterly winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. Overcast skies tonight, scattered thunderstorms likely, lows level off around 53. Chance for scattered storms again tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 75, cloudy skies. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 53.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. May corn down 3.5 at $3.20 1/4. July down 4 cents at $3.18 1/4. September down 3.5 at $3.22 1/2. December down 3 1/4 at $3.32 1/2. May soybeans down 13 1/4 cents at $8.36. July down 12 1/2 at $8.39 1/2. August down 12 1/4 at $8.41 1/4. September down 11 3/4 at $8.41 1/2. May wheat down 11 1/4 at $5.10 1/2. Soybean meal down $3.40 a ton at $2.85.20. June live cattle down $3.30 at $93.87. August down $3.27 at $98.42. May feeders down $2 at $125.30. August down $2.67 at $133.07. May lean hogs down 2 cents at $68. June down $3.45 at $57.87. From the Alpha Media Farm Desk, I am Dwayne Murley.
Higher prices likely for pork and limits on buying at the store. What does it all mean? Hi, I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. Todd Hayes is a hog farmer and vice president of the Missouri Farm Bureau. COVID-19 cases among workers at meat processing plants have slowed down production of meat products.
That's what we have is a supply issue of the meat. So I would encourage people to just buy what they need, buy what they normally would buy. Let's don't go out and overbuy, because then that means there's somebody else that's coming in the store behind you that maybe doesn't get anything. So just buy within reason.
And he says prices will be going higher.
Doesn't mean that I'm charging more for my animals, or a guy that's selling cattle doesn't charge more for his cattle. Our price is set in a way that we don't set our price. We're set from the meat prices and things. So it doesn't always rationale that high price in the meat doesn't mean it's high. The cattle are high or pig prices are high either.
He urges consumers to be patient and neighborly and know that American farmers are up to the challenge of feeding everyone, but that the situation caused by the pandemic will have to be worked through. Pork is a very good source of protein and other nutrients. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
I'm a wife,
a sister,
and a grandfather.
I'm an office clerk.
I'm a research analyst,
dance fitness instructor,
actor.
I'm a copywriter.
I'm a veteran.
I have lupus,
cerebral palsy.
I'm blind.
And I'm working in a job I love.
Because I was given a chance
to contribute my skills and talents.
To show that my disability
is only one part of who I am.
Who I am.
Who I am.
At work, it's what people can do that matters.
For more information, visit whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
Blue Ribbon, Pelham Waters, your water pro since 1949.
Do you have questions about your water? What is a whole home filter? Is my softener working or not? Can I get rid of that red stain around the sink? I'm Brian with Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. We're here to fix problem water. We'll work with you to find the right solution for you. We've been serving the Fort Dodge area since 1949. Let us serve your water treatment needs. Sales, service, rentals. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters, your complete water store.
At Humboldt Motors, your well-being is their number one concern. During this time of social distancing, Humboldt Motors wants you to know they're still here for you. If you need a new vehicle, they'd be happy to bring it to you. Shop online at HumboldtGM.com. Check out their complete selection of new and used vehicles. Then give them a call and tell them which one you'd like to see. It's that easy. And if you need service on your current vehicle, they'll come pick it up and deliver it when it's done. Humboldt Motors, online at HumboldtGM.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company helps you customize your home insurance so you only pay for what you need. Unlike things you paid for you didn't need, like that much-needed 125-inch flat-screen TV.
It's hurting my eyes a lot.
For your 100-square-foot bedroom.
My neck isn't so much stiff as it's completely stuck.
With Liberty Mutual, get customized home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Uh-oh, I'm seeing color splotches.
Liberty, 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 Liberty. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Ride the bus with the Dart and Midas Transit.
Midas is going your way. If you live in Hamilton, Pocahontas, Calhoun, or Humboldt counties and want to go somewhere special, Midas will take you there. Need to get to the theater, the hair salon, the doctor, the grocery store? Midas will take you there. Just call 800-BUS-RIDE. Call now and Midas will take you there in Hamilton, Pocahontas, Calhoun, or Humboldt County. Midas, your connection to Jefferson Lines.
Our job here's getting you there. Ride the bus.
I've always wanted to learn another language, but every time I try, it never sticks. So I decided to give Babbel a try, and I really like the teaching method of the app. I started with the beginner lesson on Babbel, and it starts with simple words and phrases, and soon you're putting those words into a conversation. Each lesson takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and they're all really different, which keeps things interesting. The app is really smart. It actually keeps track of the words I'm struggling with so I can practice them and get better. I chose Babbel because it was created by real language teachers. They built it around real life, how people actually communicate, and what they care about. I can't wait to use my new language skills in the real world. Dos cervezas, por favor.
With Babbel, get conversational in Spanish, French, German, and more. It just takes 10 to 15 minutes a day. Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com or download the Babbel app and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
How much money would you like to save just by doing something you're already doing? How about 40%? With Allstate, safe drivers can save 40% just by doing something they're already doing. Driving safe. That's right, 40% just by driving safe. Visit Allstate.com or call a local agent for a quote today and see just how much you can save when you drive safe with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Savings vary based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right, I'm the Doctor of Truth. And, of course, this hour brought to you by, this segment brought to you by the Webster County pork producers. We have on the air with us once again, and we're always delighted when Greg Horrow's on the line. I wish we could have you in the studio here, Greg, but I guess it's not time for that yet.
I know it. Well, you're asking me in the first segment about some of the aspects from the human health perspective worldwide, and it just even locally. And speaking of locally, we've heard just a couple days ago that some of the things that we've grilled at for years. Mainly the concerts out here at Fort Dodge, the celebration, that's canceled. The Relay for Life that we've grilled at for years.
Oh, that was your wife's thing there for a while, the Relay for Life. That was her deal.
I know it. So we're going to continue to hear about those restrictive and canceled areas. I think the big one to listeners is, and I know a lot of people that are directly involved with the 4-H and FFA programs are, how many county fairs in Iowa are going to be canceled this year? I have no involvement with that. Yeah, I know in Lynn County, that's Cedar Rapids, they've already canceled their show for the year. Now they may have some modified version of some things later on, but your station was just playing in the break about Fort Dodge Senior High and how they're going to have a modified commencement ceremonies in late July outside with a restricted number of people. So, we're gonna continue to feel some of that fallout with the things that we've known, and also the big one. I think you and I spoke about this because you and I always enjoy our time together at the Iowa State Fair. And Gary Slater with the chairman or president of the Iowa State Fair Board. I think they're going to make their decision in the first couple weeks of June. He's been on some other media saying that they need 60 days prior to the start of the state fair to tell their vendors and make their marketing plans. And so that'd be the first 10 or 11 days of June. We're going to be hearing about that. So that's not too far away.
Yeah, I really hope they don't cancel the state fair. But, I guess, as much as I want to see things open up, I understand the state fair, and I love the state fair, as you alluded to. Boy, that's a cluster of people there, and a lot of people. I don't know how they set record. They seem to set records every year, for attendance, and it's hundreds of thousands of people easily.
Yes, it is. Some of those days, they're hitting 110, 115,000 a day on the big days, and the lighter days are 90 to 95,000 depending on the weather and entertainment and all that. But those are things that we're going to continue to hear about. We know from the agriculture perspective that our supply companies or the co-ops and other vendors that provide us products, there's been some continued modifications in how you can meet or stop in. I mean, I know your segment earlier talked about the courthouse opening back up, but they don't want you to show up unless you absolutely have to.
That's right. And I if anybody's going to the courthouse for no reason whatsoever, I'd have to ask them what's going on in their head, We have to go to the courthouse for business, of course.
Yep. Well, I've had a couple vehicle transfers here in the last couple months, and because of some new rules and implementation of the bill of sale on vehicles, there's which started in January of 2020. There's additional documentation that needs to be provided, besides just taking your title in there that you've sold a vehicle or you bought a vehicle, and there's some additional documentation. So it's been in a little bit more encumbered process, but that's just the way things go. And so we're going to continue to hear about some of those businesses, and I know from agriculture, farm suppliers, be it through the service company people that work with us as pig farmers, or the suppliers like a hog slat or an electrician or other repair people that might come in. We've had to modify some of our behavioral approaches that we've just always taken for granted.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. We've taken a lot of things for granted, and we don't have them right now. That's why we need a roadmap, something based on some research and some fact. I'm not suggesting that we just throw out research, for God's sake. That'd be crazy. Nor am I suggesting that we ignore what medical and scientific professionals have to say. But I think they are talking about the wrong thing right now. They were talking about the right thing for 3 months. Now it's time to say something else. Now it's time to take the conversation into the future and maybe tell us what research has revealed over these last 3 months and how we get to this better time in our future. That's all.
Yep.
That's all. The shaming and scare tactics have worn me out.
Well, I think, and I listened to you and some of the guys talk late last Friday about the sports world, and whether your listeners are involved in the sports world or not, from casual fans, and I think most people say to some degree you're a casual fan of some sports team, be it university teams in Iowa or your community colleges or the professional teams. But those are going to start setting the stage for having the baseball season start up in 6 weeks, and there's not going to be any fans in the seats.
Oh,
and,
that's
we'll
exactly
see how
right.
People take that.
Well, that's more about the television contract. They're trying to save a little money. I mean, they've got that's an expensive business to keep going. I mean, I love sports, and of course, Randy and Nevin claim to know more about sports than I do, but of course they do not. So. But we'll see what they have to say this Friday. Greg Hoare is our guest in this portion of the program, brought to you by the Webster County pork producers. Do the pork producers have any events coming? The pork producers usually go to the county fairs.
Yeah, good question. There's modifications happening all through the system. There's state meetings that we have. We have committee day meetings, and I'm not just talking the pork producers. I'm talking all the major commodity organizations in Iowa, which we have a lot of representation of people that are involved in those committees in your listening area here in north central Iowa. And a lot of those events, they've just been canceled. Events that were supposed to happen in June and July, like we previously mentioned here with the concerts or some other events, some of those have just been canceled due to an abundance of caution. And so, yeah, a number of grillings and promotions, and quite honestly, through Iowa Pork and the lady who cut all the new pork commercials for us, Allison Swanson, who did that for us, did a great job, and you promote that, and we have that on the radio here for your listeners. But she and I are on the Restaurant and Food Service Committee together, and Allison's involved in a couple other committees for Iowa Pork too. And we're looking at how can we help the restaurants and how can we help those take out food businesses, not just on pork, but to help survive and bring their guests and bring back their community members back to the restaurant. So there's a lot that's going on with that yet, Mike, because it's important to not just rural Iowa, but our major metropolitan areas that we've changed people's habits right now, with respect to not being able to go out to eat. People are eating more at home. And we know that we've got to help those restaurants in our local communities in rural Iowa, and of course in our big metropolitan areas and across the country. We have to help them get back on their feet.
Yeah, absolutely. The hole we're in, and we got here so fast, some business people are telling me it's going to take them a long time to come back, if they can come back. I mean, there's folks in town that are going to go out of business. And what do we say to them? What do we say to them? Well, this was good, or we had to do this, or sorry, your business had to fail, but it was for the common good. I mean, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
We got to come up with something a little bigger, better than that.
Yeah, I know it. Well, and you have some other guests on your station throughout the week that I'm pretty familiar with, and everybody has a story to tell at this time. And however we plan for the future it's important, and no matter what it is, whether it's a church, and you've had some pastors and priests on here
Surely.
before that I've known, and there's some concern there too. How do we look back to getting to a new normal, but remembering where we were and try to get back to that someday? So, yeah, there's some concerns there, of course, and the world continues to move forward, though, folks, because as Mike and I have had for years talk about trade deals, and trade deals come through, but, there's some other factors going on right now in the world obviously with China and some of the other Asian Pacific Rim countries, even Mexico and Canada. There's some concerns because of the COVID, and concerns with travel, but people still have to eat, and we're happy that we can still produce enough food in this country that we hit some all-time volume highs for the first quarter of the year. And I've said this over the last 3 or 4 months, that we continue to sell more pork back in November than we ever had before, back in December. And obviously now January, February, March is the first quarter, and we've sold some record volumes of pork overseas. So, American consumers should feel blessed that we have good prices here. And, right now the farmers are not making money raising the animals because of a number of these economic factors we've been talking about. But it still is a excellent protein choice. Pork and beef is, even at the prices that we're paying right now, that has increased a little bit.
Oh, without a doubt. It's an infuriating time or a confusing time, all of these things. We have farmers that I know of up in the northern part of the state, top two tiers of counties up there, that are euthanizing their hogs. But yet we can't get enough meat in the Fairway or Hy-Vee store. How crazy is that?
I know. Well, that's some short-term supply chain problems that, believe me, from USDA officials to our association officials to state organizations and the industry representatives, they're all working towards the common goal to have some normalcy and to not have shortages, so that consumers don't have to pay too much of an increased price on that. But there's some big issues there, Mike.
Yeah, there's some big issues there. Is exactly right. So, what's it look like for your operation out there as we head into the next 3 months, into the summer months?
Yeah. Well, it's a good question, because I'm a contract grower, and so I don't own the pigs that I raise anymore, that I raise in my barns. And, we're sitting there full of pigs. We're supposed to start marketing in July and market heavy in August. So that's my cycle at this time. And we're hoping that these packing plants obviously will continue to be able to maybe catch up a little bit on this pork that's out there and these pigs that are raised, because there's a 12-month cycle really in the pig industry. Once you decide that you want pigs to market, those decisions are really made 12 months in advance from the day of the sale of the pig. And so, I'm doing fine. Just hoping that we don't have any major health concerns with people at the packing plants that we sell to. And obviously, the African swine fever that you and I have talked about, and your listeners have heard us talk about, it hasn't gone away. Matter of fact, South Africa has just tested positive again for African swine fever. So we know that is another issue that's out there that continues to be a problem. And we sure are doing all the surveillance programs and testing here in the United States, and the protections that we can in the United States, so that we don't have that as a food shortage problem, because that would obviously have more of a detrimental effect on our, not only our food system, but our exports of pork and price of pork, if that African swine fever was to be shown in the United States.
I know you're a pork producer. This portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers. Do you know what kind of hit the chicken industry in Iowa is taking? I think we're the third or fourth largest chicken growers and egg producers in the country. Do you know anything about that or not?
Specifically on some numbers, no. I better not try to tread into that too far. However, I do know that all of those industries have had some negative effects on it by the COVID. Matter of fact, USDA has a number of programs on their website that they talk about what is happening with all the segments or the sectors of production agriculture. And when you start talking about the egg industry, the institutions, or like universities or hospitals, the school lunch programs, all those have been shut down, essentially, in the way that they used to feed people. So the breaker eggs is one, for example, that breaker eggs are used just for fluid eggs that would go into that institutional settings or food. So you don't have nearly as many eggs being sold in that market anymore. There's more, table-ready eggs for grocery stores being sold. The poultry market has the ability to either ramp up or ramp down a lot quicker with their egg sets and how they put chicks on feed, etc. Because a broiler chicken has from the time you place it in a barn, 60 days later, it is of 7 pounds weight, 7 or 8 pounds, depending on the feed and nutrition. So, they're being impacted right now because of a lot of this disruptions, Mike.
Yeah, well, I'm sure everybody is. If I could ever get Dean Black in here, we'd talk about the cattlemen a little bit, but we're not going to do that today. So,
this is May Beef Month, so I better put a shout out there.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, and I think some of those supply chains of some of those fast food restaurants that we heard about a week ago, they're shoring up their meat supply, so that was a short-term supply chain problem, and they're working through that. But May is Beef Month, so go get yourself a beef burger and put some bacon on it.
Well, I'll tell you, Greg, you may not know this, but I love to grill. And normally this time of year, I'd be grilling pork and beef all day long, but the weather's not cooperating the best. But I did grill day before yesterday. I had a couple of steaks out there, so that all worked out. So
there you go. Yep.
There we
Next
go.
week's going to be great for that also.
All right. Greg Hoare has been our guest this portion of the program, brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
All right. This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Dr. Lee Heeb will be with us at 4:40 this afternoon. She's usually on and has been on for years at 2:10 on Friday, but her work schedule demands that she move to Wednesday. So it'll be a real treat to have Dr. Heeb on. I know she'll want to talk about force and authority misused, and I'm ready to talk to her about that. 4 o'clock, KVFD Fort Dodge.
This is Dave Graveline. Be sure to listen to Into Tomorrow right here on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
A newly revealed list with a lot of names. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. 2 U.S. senators releasing declassified documents that show more than a dozen Obama administration officials requesting the so-called unmasking of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn from calls with a Russian ambassador during the presidential transition.
The director of the CIA, John Brennan, Treasury Secretary Jacob Lew, James Comey, the director of the FBI at that time, Dennis McDonough, who was the chief of staff to President Obama, and Joe Biden, the Vice President of the United States.
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. Former UN Ambassador Samantha Power and Director of National Intelligence at the time, James Clapper, also on the list, though it's not known who, if any, may have actually seen the requested information. The Justice Department moving to drop the ongoing criminal case against Flynn, who's been trying to take back a guilty plea for lying to FBI agents. Republicans say he was set up. Democrats, including Biden, argue the issue is being used as a diversion. The Fed chief says we're now in the worst recession since World War II, and he's warning of the dangers of a prolonged recession.
Avoidable household and business insolvencies can weigh on growth for years to come. Long stretches of unemployment can damage or end workers' careers as their skills lose value and professional networks dry up, and leave families in greater debt.
Chairman Jay Powell urging Congress and the White House to do more to prevent widespread bankruptcies. But for now, there's no bipartisan agreement on the next steps. The FBI and Homeland Security officials accusing China of trying to steal information on COVID-19 research. At least that's the implication in a new public service announcement warning healthcare, pharmaceutical, and other groups to protect their systems. This follows a recent warning from the U.S. and British cybersecurity agencies about government-backed hackers targeting.
Hi, Mike. This is Brenda Engstrom. Wonderful. Okay. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, thank you, Brenda. All right, thank you.
The price to send a package? That means 4 times the cost for seniors to ship their medication, 4 times to deliver household necessities, and 4 times the cost for small businesses. Unneeded rate hikes that will harm Main Street and everyday Americans. America can't afford the package tax now. Call Congress now, 202-224-3121. Tell them to stop the package tax. The Postal Service is an economic lifeline for small businesses and rural customers all over the country. That's 202-224-3121 and tell them to stop the postal rate hike. Paid for by the Package Coalition.
As some states weigh whether and how fast to reopen, there's some confusion in California.
Tuesday, LA County's public health director, Dr. Barbara Ferrer, told LA County officials,
"We know with all certainty that we would be extending health officer orders, for the next 3 months."
This on the same day the governor announced malls could do curbside pickup and office spaces could reopen with restrictions. LA officials later clarified the stay-at-home order will be in effect even as they reopen, though more slowly. 7 other counties have state approval to reopen more quickly. In Shasta County, in-restaurant dining can happen.
There are absolutely modifications in place.
County HHS spokeswoman Carrie Schutte says they were approved because of their low infection rate and preparedness should there be a surge. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
There are reports President Trump is set to ramp up the search for a coronavirus vaccine by tapping a former GlaxoSmithKline executive and a U.S. general to lead the way. Meantime, Swiss drug maker Roche winning Britain's first approval of an antibody test kit. Worldwide, more than 4.3 million confirmed cases of coronavirus now and more than 294,000 deaths. A star of the stage awakens from a coma.
Broadway star Nick Cordero, who was in a medically induced coma and had his leg amputated as a result of his battle with coronavirus, has finally turned a corner. His wife, Amanda Klutz, posted a pic of her and their son giving each other kisses on Instagram, writing next to it, "Kisses for Dada, #Nick is woke." Klutz has been updating fans on the Broadway star's progress, wrote on Monday that he's slowly starting to respond to verbal commands, and each day his condition improved, confirming Nick is now starting to follow commands. But she noted that there still is an uphill battle ahead before Cordero makes a full recovery.
Fox's Michelle Polino. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. The Webster County Courthouse has now reopened the doors. They asked visitors to be prepared to follow social distancing requirements. They also continue to process paperwork by mail or through the county payment drop box located in the alley beside the courthouse building. County Auditor Doreen Pliner wants to remind everyone that there is in-person absentee voting at a new location this year. The voting has been moved to the DHS building located at 330 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge. That absentee precinct will be open from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. weekdays for absentee voting for the June 2nd primary election. Absentee ballots for the primary election can be cast at the DHS building through 4:30 p.m. June the 1st. If you've received an absentee ballot by mail and wish to return them in person, you can return them to the Webster County Courthouse main lobby drop box. Absentee ballots returned by mail must be postmarked by midnight June 1st. From Radio Iowa, a new Test Iowa site for drive-through COVID-19 testing will open Saturday in Storm Lake, which is home to 2 Tyson facilities. About 800 people work at the turkey processing plant, and 2,400 work at the pork plant. When Tyson's pork plants in Columbus Junction and Waterloo were closed temporarily due to coronavirus outbreaks among workers, production shifted to the plant in Storm Lake. In mid-April, Governor Reynolds asked federal officials for more testing supplies so workers at all 18 meatpacking and food processing plants in Iowa could be tested. Reynolds says the drive-through Test Iowa sites are being used in many of those locations.
We have a plan in place, and we've got a great logistics team that once we get a site established, they're looking at the next 2 sites, where we can do the testing, what makes the most sense for the facility, and how we can move forward with that.
The first Test Iowa site began operation April 25th in Des Moines, and there are now 6 other Test Iowa sites running across the state. Webster County Public Health has announced that a child in the county has tested positive for COVID-19. That case would be the first of its type in the county. That new confirmed case brings the total case count in the county to 11. 5 of those 11 have recovered, and the isolation restrictions have been lifted off of them. County public health officials consider a patient to be recovered when they pass all CDC requirements to leave isolation and their case has been closed. Those requirements include no fever for 72 hours, improvement of other symptoms, and that it's been at least 7 days since the symptoms first appeared. The Webster County Public Health COVID-19 hotline is available 7 days a week by calling 515-227-7153. 19-year-old Fort Dodge resident Tyrus Purcell McElroy has been sentenced to 3 years probation stemming from an incident in Carroll County in September. Court documents say McElroy pleaded guilty to first-degree theft after originally being charged with felony robbery and theft. McElroy received a deferred judgment, so court records of the incident will be expunged once he successfully completes probation. Police say that McElroy assaulted a man, stole his wallet, and then when the victim tried to reach in the window of his vehicle, McElroy allegedly dragged the victim until the victim let go. The incident occurred the morning of September 19th outside of Ossie's Show Club in Carroll. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a chance for scattered rain showers. High of 60, southeasterly winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. Overcast skies tonight, scattered thunderstorms likely, lows level off around 53. Chance for scattered storms again tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 75, cloudy skies. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 54.
Ride the bus with the Dart and Midas trends.
Need to get somewhere in Hamilton, Pocahontas, Calhoun, or Humboldt County? Midas will take you there. Live in Manson and need a ride to the grocery store? Midas will take you there. Live in Webster City and need a ride to the theater? Midas will take you there. Live in Rockwell City and need to get to the clinic? Midas will take you there. Call 800 Bus Ride. Midas, helping you get where you want to go. Your connection to Jefferson Lines.
Our job here's getting you there. Ride the bus.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
Ladies and gentlemen of Webster County and the planet Earth, joining us now, Brenda Angstrom, who is from, where are you from, Brenda?
Webster County Treasurer's Office,
Webster
Mike.
County Treasurer's Office. All right. You're the first one I tried out my new megaphone on.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, you're the first.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Couldn't wait to be the first at something, could you?
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on at the treasurer's office in the time of the deadly disease?
Well, you know, we opened up the doors to the courthouse.
You did?
Yes.
Is everybody out of the courthouse now, or did they all run in fear, or what?
I think everybody's still here. All the offices are back to full staff. So, yeah, it's working out pretty good. You know, we've got everything prepared. by the guidelines. You know, we got the plexiglass, and our HR supplied masks for all of the employees if they would wish to wear them. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's great. I'm delighted to hear that. We need to adhere to social guidelines. I'm just glad that the courthouse is open. Our lives cannot be frozen in place.
Right.
I mean, it just can't be done. And there's a lot of work that an average citizen in Webster County has to do at the courthouse.
Right, exactly. Yes, and as you said, we're practicing the social distancing. We have like the tape on the floors where they stand. And actually, with my office, we have a staff of 8. So I put a couple of the staff members out there in the front entryway by the north door where everybody enters, and they're like checking title work and everything before they even come to the office. So we can, keep a nice flow going and keep everybody in and out as fast as they can. And then if their paperwork's incorrect, we can send them to get the correct stuff. It's been working really well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Again, I'm still struggling with what is worse, to open up or to shut down. And I've really come down on the side of opening up while observing the rules. I went to Daniel Pharmacy today and got a mask, the whole thing, and they have the plexiglass windows as they should. The entire staff was wearing masks. That's all right, proper, and good. We should have, and I hope, I don't know if this is the final word by the supervisors during this virus, but I hope that I hope we can continue to open up if it's safe. Which I know isn't a real strong statement there, but
Right, exactly. Well, the only office at this time that is not open back up to the public is the clerk of court, the state offices, because they have not been given, the go by the state yet. But I think I shouldn't say think. I know all the offices have in place the plexiglass, and all their employees have the mask if they wish to wear them. It seems to be going pretty good. We're seeing a lot of customers come in, and they want to get their business done.
Yeah, and we want to be open for business, that's for sure. But it's a very frustrating time. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Our guest is County Treasurer Brenda Engstrom. Just briefly describe what the County Treasurer does.
Well, the main things, as everybody knows, we collect the taxes.
But everybody doesn't know, Brenda. That's why I'm asking you this. You'd be surprised that a lot of people think the treasurer is the auditor, and the auditor is the treasurer, and on and on and on.
And you're correct. Well, we collect the property taxes, twice a year to bring in revenue. And we also have the motor vehicle side in our office, which you can do your renewals for your stickers for your vehicles. We also do, as I was saying, title transfers for people who have purchased new vehicles. We work with the dealers every day. And, of course, there's, other things that are done behind the scenes that most people don't see. We work with reconciling the banks. I do the apportioning that we apportion out to all the different entities in Webster County. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that we do also.
All right, Brenda Engstrom is our guest. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I have an announcement here, and I wish I didn't have to read this, but I must. The Webster County Public Health Department released a statement late Monday saying the county has experienced its first COVID-19 related death. The individual who passed away is a middle-aged adult between the ages of 41 and 60. Webster County Public Health Director Carrie Prescott said, "We wish to extend our sympathy to this individual's family. Webster County Public Health and all our key partners throughout the county and state continue to work to limit the spread and impact of this virus in our communities. We ask that our residents respect the privacy of this family and please continue to take preventative measures. Webster County Public Health Department strongly encourages all vulnerable persons, including those with pre-existing medical conditions and those older than 65, to limit their activities outside their home. The Webster County Public Health Department COVID-19 hotline remains available 7 days a week by calling 515-337-7153. That's 515-337-7153. Not good news. Not good news at all. Brenda, are you still there?
Yes, I am. That is sad news, Mike, to
Yes,
hear.
it is. Who are you whispering to down the line there? I heard you whispering.
Oh, one of my employees came back and was asking me a question.
Doesn't she know you're a media superstar?
I was trying to keep as quiet as I could.
Well, you pulled it off. I mean, I have headphones on, cranked to maximum volume because, of course, I'm old and can't hear. But so all I heard was you whispering a little bit. And I thought maybe I'm just too sensitive. I don't know. I kind of thought to myself, is Brenda whispering to somebody? This guy on the radio is a real jerk.
No, they were coming back and asking a question.
Oh, okay. Do you? I know you're a married person. Do you still have children at home?
No, my children are both grown. They both live outside the home, but they're still in Webster County.
Yeah, sure. So you don't. At least you don't have to worry about bringing a virus home to your children.
Exactly.
And your husband is working, or is he?
Yes, my husband is working.
Okay. All right. So the two of you then observe the social distancing rules and all those sorts of things.
Yes, I've gotten a lot of yard work done at home.
Well, that's good. That's very very important.
Yes.
What's the busiest time of year for the treasurer's office?
Well, of course, in September and March when we collect taxes.
Right.
And it's always busy at the end of each month when people have to come in and get their stickers for their vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get mine in February. I don't think a lot of people were born in February, but I don't know. Maybe they were. But it's always been pretty easy for me to get my stickers and things like that. And, we have, of course, increased assessments. Most people say that. And
Yes.
I'm not trying to turn you into the auditor again. But are you involved in these new assessments? I mean, are you a person, or is your department involved in getting the information out to the public, or is that strictly up to the auditor?
Well, it's actually the assessor's office
Excuse
that
me,
does
assessor.
that.
See,
Mhm.
I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time.
No, we just collect the taxes from them when they receive their new bill.
So the assessor, having, and I assume their work is done, and I don't expect you to know the answer to these questions. I'm just speculating out loud. I know we had inspectors here in the last year in town, throughout the county. A young man came to my house early last summer, and I got my assessment, of course.
Yeah.
So I should have known it was the assessor's office. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Well, is there anything else happening over there? You keeping Dinklaw, Campbell, and all those people under control? Not Thode. I wouldn't expect you to keep them under control.
Yes, they're all doing a very good job.
Okay. Is there anything else that we need to know from the treasurer's office today?
No, not at this time. Just to let them know that they can come in and get their business done.
Always a great pleasure to talk to one of the Pedersen girls.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you for being on.
Thank you.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. And I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect. because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
Pros. Lowe's wants to help you keep working. That's why we're open for pro business hours 6 to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday. You'll find the quantities you expect with dedicated pro associates and loaders to help you get what you need fast and load you up curbside. Now, more than ever, we know you need to win every single bid. You can count on Lowe's for special values on pro trusted brands and savings when you buy in bulk. Save yourself a trip by shopping Lowe'sForPros.com, where we can ship thousands of items to your doorstep or to the job site. Lowe's is open and pro ready.
Making sure your soybean crop can finish strong. Hello, I'm Megan Grebner, and this is Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with UPL. Full spectrum production systems can help control diseases and provide additional health benefits to your soybean crop. In this Managing for Profit, Lynn Justison with UPL explains how the use of fungicides can help boost soybean yields and provide residual benefits all season long. We'll find out more on Brownfield right after this.
What is hope? Hope to me was just that he would get to come home. I had no idea how hard it would be once he got back.
I wish she'd stop drinking so much. She thinks it's helping, but it's not.
I act like I don't care if he comes to my games, but I hope he does.
I hoped he'd get help. He told me to stop asking. I didn't. Then one day he asked for a ride.
Hope is knowing there are other families just like yours, that the veterans they love got help and recovered. Go to maketheconnection.net and turn hope into action.
Hi, this is Dr. Phil. The new coronavirus called COVID-19 is spreading in China and beyond. While CDC is working to stop the spread of the virus, we can all play a role in stopping this deadly disease. The CDC Foundation is a nonprofit organization supporting emergency response efforts in the United States and around the world. To get updates, and learn how to protect friends and loved ones. Find out how to help by going to cdcfoundation.org.
Once the crop is planted, there are a few things growers can do to ensure it finishes strong. Lynn Justison with UPL says farmers can optimize crop health by using a heavy-duty combination fungicide like Zolera FX.
There's really two timing windows as we look at soybeans and think about things with our soybean growers. Is one, there's an early timing, and that early timing with Zolera FX is looking at helping you in your white mold control. But that's a much different timing than we've traditionally done in soybeans, and that's at an R1 or earlier timing. And we see really nice yield increases, in particular when you get in white mold situations. You know, it's 7, 8, 9 bushel increase when we get in those systems and in those places where white mold is really bad. But you have to think R1, and we have to think in front of white mold. And R1 is probably way earlier than anybody would guess. That R1 could be as early as Father's Day in many areas. So that's a much different timing frame for soybean growers.
And if white mold isn't an issue,
we need to start thinking about things with something like the Zolera. That one's at more of an R3 timing, or again, the same kind of thought process, that full flowering, that reproductive stage, and we're trying to finish that crop's life out right. That would be the target with a Zolera FX at that time frame. At our prescribed 5 ounce per acre rate, you're getting full rates of both a strobilurin and a trizol. So you're getting both curative and preventative, and they're both at full rates plus. We're not even at 100. We're a little over 100% of standard use rates in both those products.
Justison says Strobe-resistant frog eye leaf spot is also something farmers need to think about.
As far north as the North-South Dakota border, across nearly every county in Iowa, all the central corn-growing eye states and whatnot, we're seeing much more of that resistant frog eye. If you have had resistant frog eye, or if you would have happened to make an application and the frog eye doesn't let up, you probably need to look at something like UPL's product in Froghorn, which is Dynamite on frog eye spot. But again, just another one to be mindful of as we think all the way through those soybeans, and we're thinking about, we're starting to some fine differences on which products to use and when to use them, and that's just one other thing we can add to our arsenal, that if we know we have Strobe-resistant frog eye, we probably need to switch our program up a little bit and look at something more like a Froghorn.
I'm Megan Grebner with Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with UPL.
The North Central Iowa Regional Solid Waste Agency reminds you, you must be a resident of Webster County, Humboldt County, Eagle Grove, Manson, or Rockwell City to bring your garbage to the landfill. Loads from outside the area must go to their own designated landfill. Once again, to bring your garbage to the landfill, you must be a resident of Webster County, Humboldt County, Eagle Grove, Manson, or Rockwell City. This has been a reminder from the North Central Iowa Regional Solid Waste Agency, Fort Dodge, online at ncirswa.org. Follow them on Facebook too.
From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones. The Webster County Courthouse has now reopened the doors. They asked visitors to be prepared to follow social distancing requirements. They also continue to process paperwork by mail or through the county payment drop box located in the alley beside the courthouse building. County Auditor Doreen Pliner wants to remind everyone that there is in-person absentee voting at a new location this year. The voting has been moved to the DHS building located at 330 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge. That absentee precinct will be open from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. weekdays for absentee voting for the June 2nd primary election. Absentee ballots for the primary election can be cast at the DHS building through 4:30 p.m. June the 1st. If you've received an absentee ballot by mail and wish to return them in person, you can return them to the Webster County Courthouse main lobby drop box. Absentee ballots returned by mail must be postmarked by midnight June 1st. From Radio Iowa, a new Test Iowa site for drive-through COVID-19 testing will open Saturday in Storm Lake, which is home to 2 Tyson facilities. About 800 people work at the turkey processing plant and 2,400 work at the pork plant. When Tyson's pork plants in Columbus Junction and Waterloo were closed temporarily due to coronavirus outbreaks among workers, production shifted to the plant in Storm Lake. In mid-April, Governor Reynolds asked federal officials for more testing supplies so workers at all 18 meatpacking and food processing plants in Iowa could be tested. Reynolds says the drive-through Test Iowa sites are being used in many of those locations.
We have a plan in place, and we've got a great logistics team that once we get a site established, they're looking at the next two sites, where we can do the testing, what makes the most sense for the facility, and how we can move forward with that.
The first Test Iowa site began operation April 25th in Des Moines, and there are now 6 other Test Iowa sites running across the state. Webster County Public Health has announced that a child in the county has tested positive for COVID-19. That case would be the first of its type in the county. That new confirmed case brings the total case count in the county to 11. 5 of those 11 have recovered, and the isolation restrictions have been lifted off of them. County public health officials consider a patient to be recovered when they pass all CDC requirements to leave isolation and their case has been closed. Those requirements include no fever for 72 hours, improvement of other symptoms, and that it's been at least 7 days since the symptoms first appeared. The Webster County Public Health COVID-19 hotline is available 7 days a week by calling 515-227-7153. 19-year-old Fort Dodge resident Tyrus Purcell McElroy has been sentenced to 3 years probation stemming from an incident in Carroll County in September. Court documents say McElroy pleaded guilty to first-degree theft after originally being charged with felony robbery and theft. McElroy received a deferred judgment, so court records of the incident will be expunged once he successfully completes probation. Police say that McElroy assaulted a man, stole his wallet, and then when the victim tried to reach in the window of his vehicle, McElroy allegedly dragged the victim until the victim let go. The incident occurred the morning of September 19th outside of Ossie's Show Club in Carroll. That's your Alpha Media News Update from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. May corn down 3.5 at $3.20 1/4. July down 4 cents at $3.18 1/4. September down 3.5 at $3.22 1/2. December down 3 1/4 at $3.32 1/2. May soybeans down 13 1/4 cents at $8.36. July down 12.5 at $8.39 1/2. August down 12 1/4 at $8.41 1/4. September down 11 3/4 at $8.41 1/2. May wheat down 11 1/4 at $5.10 1/2. Soybean meal down $3.40 a ton at $285.20. June live cattle down $3.30 at $93.87. August down $3.27 at $98.42. May feeders down $2 at $125.30. August down $2.67 at $133.07. May lean hogs down 2 cents at $68. June down $3.45 at $57.87. From the Alpha Media Farm Desk, I'm Dwayne Murley.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks tumbling and closing in the red after Fed Chair Jerome Powell warns of a prolonged recession from the coronavirus pandemic. The Dow falling 517 points, the Nasdaq down 139 and is now in negative territory for the year. S&P 500 down 50. And after the closing bell, Cisco Systems shares rising after the maker of network services, video conferencing tools, and security software reported better than expected earnings, although revenue dropped 8% from last year's quarter. And GE certainly not bringing good things to life on Wall Street. Shares of the industrial conglomerate tumbling over 3.5% amid growing concerns over the troubled aerospace industry. GE stock hitting the lowest level in more than 11 years in intraday trading. And Rite Aid announcing a new partnership with Instacart, which will allow customers to order and receive essential healthcare and grocery items delivered directly to their homes. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
This is a last chance alert. It's happening. Publishers Clearinghouse is ready to award $5,000 a week for life in just days. Enter now at PCH.com and you could win $5,000 a week after week, for life. Don't miss this last chance to win $5,000 a week for life on June 30th. Enter at PCH.com before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want the next big winner to be you. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 6/25. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
Have you ever wondered how the brain works? What makes us tick?
Join me, Greg Woods, every Wednesday morning for all the latest news on the brain, on aging, and the science behind it all. It's The Mind Boggles, every Wednesday morning at 8:30 on AM 1400 KVFD.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Patricia Rasmussen has passed away. Patricia May Rasmussen, 78 years old, died on Tuesday, May 12th, at the Friendship Haven. She had been fighting cancer for quite some time. I believe this is probably Dr. Lee Heeb. Hang on, will you, Lee?
Yep.
All right. Patricia May Rasmussen has passed away. As a matter of fact, she fought cancer for the better part of 28 years. Patricia May Rasmussen, again, 78 years old, when she died Tuesday at the Friendship Haven. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Dr. Lee Heeb is coming up.
Okay, you know how it feels when you've saved enough for that long-awaited home edition? Now imagine an addition on that addition. Whoa. That's the feeling with Capital One, where a new savings account earns an interest rate 5 times the national average. That's right, 5 times, as represented by 5 times more singers. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Rate comparison based on FDIC national rate. Capital One NA member FDIC.
Michael Devine.
You're very clever, my charming little friend.
With more stimulating talk radio.
That's right.
Not clever enough.
I'm not clever enough, that's for sure. Stimulating you once again today is Dr. Lee Heeb, who's an orthopedic surgeon over in Omaha. Doesn't live in Omaha, but she practices over there, and she's been a contributor for quite some time to this program, and she's a very valuable commentator, certainly. I know a lot of you who follow Dr. Heeb, and I know there are people who do look for her or wait for her at 2:10 every Friday, but Dr. Heeb's world has changed, so we're going to be at 4:40 for a while. However long that is however long Dr. Heeb decides it's going to be that way. So there you go. How are you, Lee?
Well, I'm good. And better yet, Iowa has opened up, I hear.
Opened up a little bit. There's the usual, all afternoon I've been talking about fear-mongering. And the lack of leadership from our professional community, frankly. All they can do is wave their finger in our face and try to scare the living hell out of us and insult us that, oh gosh, if you want to go to a restaurant, you must be a weakling, or you don't care about your fellow human being. What a bunch of crap this is. Could we just please have a plan, a way forward? Can we act as if we're free people, able to make our own decisions without all this nonsense? I'm taking up your time with all this ranting.
Well, apparently, apparently you're right. Apparently not. I mean, I started worrying about this a couple of weeks ago when I started saying we should be opening up, and it was young people. I ran into young people that were afraid of taking off the mask, afraid of coming out of their house, afraid of getting out and doing things, and telling me, oh, no, we need to stay locked down. We don't want to die of this illness, essentially. And I thought to myself, well, first of all, unfortunately, we haven't done a great job teaching kids mathematics. And basically, there's some common sense mathematics that could demonstrate that we haven't lost many more people than we lose on a bad flu year. We certainly are not even close to what the pandemic of 1918 was. And keep in mind, we fought a revolution during the smallpox outbreak. So our generation has come to this notion somehow that life has no risk and that diseases don't get us anymore. Well, people still die of things, and they still die of everyday diseases every once in a while. But at some point, you have to say, we don't put on gloves and a mask every flu season. We don't. I predict when this is all over, we will look back at the number of people in Iowa who have died of this disease, and we'll find that more are killed by death in 2 years by death by deer on the highway. I mean, this is going to turn out to be the biggest problem we've had is in New York, by far. Why has it been New York? Why is it, we have to look at why these areas really went down hard, if they, in fact, were not lying about the numbers. New York took a big. I don't know if we should. Maybe that's all the same. But
well, you've been to New York. You've been to New York City, though. I mean, you want to talk about urban density? They have it there. I mean, a big apartment or a big living space is like 1,200 square feet.
Right. So you've got a lot of people in a small area, and you've got it's let's put the blame where the blame is a little bit here. In February, we had the New York mayor and the governor and everybody, congressmen from there, and so saying, go to the Chinese New Year. If, let's say the disease came out of China. Lombardy in Italy got hit hard, but not the rest of Italy. Again, it's an area that has a lot of Chinese people and a lot of, because they have this commercial interchange with China. So it was a Chinese person who brought it to Lombardy. Now so one of the ways I can explain this in my own thinking, I'm not saying this is true, I'm speculating now, but one of the ways you could think about this was if this was either an accidental release of a bioweapon, but a man-made pathogen, or even in the weird, which I don't believe, outside chance this is a naturally occurring mutation, which I really don't believe that, and I don't think most people really looking at it believe that. It could be that it hit the first generation of people very badly, and then as it passed through, it became attenuated. That happens to natural diseases as well. The first pass people get real sick, but then it washes out. The next generation of this virus is not as lethal, and the next is even less lethal, and it goes downhill rapidly. So that would explain why only the first pass people, the Chinese, and those areas where the China planes from Wuhan area went directly, like Korea initially, which took care of it, but in Lombardy and New York City got a big hit, but everybody else, it quieted down. That could be the truth here. But in any case, we've lost 84,000 people at this point. Now, you remember how the flu vaccine, they said, you have to get your flu vaccine because we lose 80,000 people a year? Well, that's not completely true. We lost about 80,000, they said, last year. It was an exceptionally bad year. But that's not the normal. The normal's, even then, it's 26, 30,000 people. That's our background noise. So we had a bad year this year. Let's get over it and move on. Again, just on the numbers, it isn't coming out to be a huge problem. I ran the numbers worldwide. The worldwide death rate is slightly above the worldwide death rate of flu every year. Slightly above, not a lot above. And Sweden has opened up, completely. I heard that Iowa had opened up completely, and it's up to the individual businesses now. But maybe you heard something more recently.
I think that was Governor Reynolds' original plan, but then she backed off. I think some people got in her ear, and she backed off.
Well, that's too bad. That's what she should do.
Yeah. But
because
that's
we've had 318 deaths or something. It's not a very big number. It's less than we lose on the highway every year. So, and the other thing is, I have to say, so since I've reopened my office, I've had the opportunity, just by happenstance, I had a lot of medical personnel, I guess they're unemployed like me, and they came to the office for services. I talked to an internist. I talked to a pharmacist and 2 nurses in one day's clinic. And all of them basically said the same. They don't see anything happening at the hospital. One of them actually worked in the COVID unit at UNMC. And they had 18 people come in from a nursing home that tested positive, but only one of them got mildly ill and went home in 3 days. The rest of them never showed any symptoms. So what's happening here?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't think we can equate the coronavirus with car accidents in a single year, and the reason is this. We know what car accidents are. We know what it takes usually to prevent them. I mean, accidents will happen. There's no doubt. But this is, the coronavirus is something mysterious that scares people.
Well, but the problem is that's not completely true, Mike. The problem is we have at first that was true. In January that was true. In February that was true. It's not true now. The people that are on the ground taking care of this, the doctors that are actually studying this, that don't work for Big Pharma. There's a couple of hit pieces that came out recently that have big flashy headlines, but they're not true. I've read the data. Other doctors that I know and trust have read the data that we're saying the same thing. Those are pieces where the study was done, designed to give them the result they wanted, not necessarily the truth. The truth is like in Indonesia, they did a study and they showed that 96.2% of the people in the hospital with coronavirus that were serious or dying all had a vitamin D level above 30 nanograms per mil. Remember how I've been on your show so many times talking about the benefit of vitamin D? It's a huge antiviral, and we've known that for decades. Well, it turns out this is a big one on this, which may also account for the New Yorkers. So we know so if you keep your vitamin D level above 30, which takes some supplementation, you can't get that from the sun necessarily, but it doesn't take much. If you were taking 5,000 units a day, international units a day, you'd be above 30. So if you get your D level up, we also know that selenium is like birth control for viruses. So a couple hundred milligrams or micrograms of selenium a day. Zinc is wonderful for viruses. It helps potentiate the hydroxychloroquine, so they're giving it in that protocol, 30 milligrams a day. And vitamin C chomped around. A lot of these people have deaths that have been sick or dead of this coronavirus. When they test them, they're extremely low on vitamin C. And you notice the Chinese, Koreans, and the people in New York are using IV vitamin C to treat sick people. So those are the four things we know. Plus we know that it's very sensitive to UV light. It's very sensitive to heat. It's very sensitive to any chemical treatment you put on it. So this is not magic anymore. What is magic is things like fist bumping, wearing a mask, standing 6 feet apart. That has no basis in science here. But the other thing we know is that we've known since 1981 that hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine can actually stop viral replication. And there are multiple papers about this. And the doctors that are actually successfully treating that have shown better than every study that I've seen is over 91% successful treatment. Closer to 100%, the one in the big study in New York. So it's just like, we have lots of diseases that people don't completely understand, but they kind of have faith we have treatment. The problem is we've got Dr. Fauci and a bunch of people that work for pharma saying, oh, well, this is dangerous. We don't really have the treatment. Yes, you do. Come on, guys. They don't want us to know this because their whole world turns upside down if we actually figure out that hydroxychloroquine works against viruses all over the place.
Well, there's a little bit of a power grab going on here as well. I mean, we are the experts and you are not, and we're only going to tell you what you can handle because you're not really free people. You're people who need our guidance, and that's kind of the refrain that I've heard, and in the conversation of so many that although they're talking as if they're responsible public health officials, what they're really saying is shut up and do as we say. And that's the way you control people. Really, when you look at who benefits from this whole thing, it's the few, the 1% that control all the rest of us. I really do feel like a sheep. I mean, how does a sheepdog control the sheep? It's just from fear. And the sheep aren't smart enough to figure out that they could overwhelm that one dog. Well, we're in the same boat, but you don't fear things you understand, and you're right. So we don't fear automobile accidents, even though statistically you and I are more at risk of that than we are of this virus. And so I have to say that the people that want to control us benefit from creating fear, and they benefit from us self-policing. Part of the problem is the sheep self-police. They huddle in together because they don't want to be bitten by the dog. So we sit in our houses and we wear our masks and we get our gloves because now we have the Maoist type Red Guards out. These young people they're hiring around the country to go and check that people are wearing their masks and that they're social distancing. There's a snitch on them if they don't. I don't know if you heard that. There was a story about the woman who was just pushing her kid in a swing in a park and she got turned into the police. I mean, this is out of control in liberty sense. We're taking away we're surrendering our liberty to people because we don't understand this disease. Well, I'm sorry, I do understand this disease, not completely, but as probably as better as well as these guys do, because they're not telling you the truth of what's actually published out there. And I have the benefit of not being employed and reading scientific literature for 6 weeks. I can tell you they're just not telling you the whole story. And when you really look at the whole story, pharmaceutical industry for most of my professional life has gone out of its way to condemn anything that smacks of natural self-treatment.
You know, they didn't want you to take coenzyme Q10. They stormed in the manufacturers of CoQ10, literally broke their doors down and threatened to arrested them, and tried to put them out of business. Well, they fought back and won. Well, then it comes out a few years later that CoQ10 is actually very good at preventing the death from heart disease or decreasing mortality from heart disease. Well, guess what? They don't want you to know that because they want you to sell you expensive drugs. Look no further than this whole vaccine push right now. And then this one remdesivir, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but the expensive antiviral, it's very much like a cyclovir, which we've had for years, which we use for shingles and things like that. Okay, there are these very expensive antiviral drugs. It's like $1,100 for a course of treatment with remdesivir, and Tony Fauci wants you to believe it's just the greatest thing and we should be pushing that. It's got less than 10% effectiveness against this, whereas you've got a drug that's $8 that's 90% or better effective. Let's look at the motive there. It's insane.
Yeah, we can't forget that.
When people understand this, they won't be afraid, and then they can't control us.
Yeah, so
it's a new form of control.
So watch the birdie over here. Watch the birdie.
Right. Well,
don't pay attention to what's actually happening or anything like that.
No. And it's succeeding among people that have not lived long enough. You know, in all fairness, you know, when I was 20, I might be scared about this too. And it helps to have the benefit of 67 years behind me to learn, number one, the government is not above lying to us. You know, I've found multiple times in
That's
my life.
shocking news.
It's shocking, I know to you, Mike, but, well, I think you're a few months younger than me. You'll catch up. But they've lied to us our whole lives. So I'm not surprised they're lying about this. But I'm surprised by it. The one thing I'm surprised by, I knew that pharmaceutical companies were lying to sell products, too. And they lie cleverly. They lie by omission, or they lie by designing tests that get results they want. But I didn't think they would go to the extent of actually letting people die from viral diseases for 40 and 50 years when they knew better. That one still surprised me.
Well,
that appears to be what's going on.
By the way, I'm 68, so calm down there, young lady.
Oh, well, you're a slow learner. You don't think I'm lying to you.
No, we both lived through the Watergate era. And we started, as soon as that broke, we started to hear about LBJ and John Kennedy and all the way back to Hoover. And, it was an illuminating period because we had been taught that the government could not. It seemed to me as a very young person at the time that the government was straightforward with us all the time. And they simply were not. As a matter of fact, they lied regularly, and I believe they still do today.
Well, General Flynn. Say no more. I mean, I don't know. You know, there's not just. When this is all washed out, the most dangerous thing that we'll have found out during this period is not probably about the coronavirus, but what happens to General Flynn. That's just so unbelievable corrupt, and it shows a very systematic corruption at highest level of our law enforcement agency.
Oh, without a doubt.
Justice Department.
You know, our
the FBI.
The FBI, it turns out, at the highest levels was corrupt, and they had a lot of help from other agencies. Now, this is a serious problem. I only hope that Trump can remain president to dig all this rot out, because there are some very arrogant and very dangerous people in our FBI, and that's the truth, Ruth.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you something. You mentioned vitamin D. How much vitamin D should a person take on a daily basis?
Well, here's what I've been doing for years, and I'll tell you why, and it's short. If you look at nature, some of the most healthy people are who live and work into their hundreds are the Okinawan tribesmen. People that live close to the equator, and they're out in the sun like in a loincloth, they measured their vitamin D level from the sun, and they're getting 30 to 40,000 units a day. Now, we don't get that in northern climates, and there are a lot of diseases that get worse as you go up the northern latitudes. So I take 10,000 units a day. No one has ever overdosed on 10,000 units a day who isn't on dialysis. Now, your doctor may think that's too much because the official recommendation is 5,000 units a day. That's the maximum they give officially. But keep in mind, over my medical career, it's gone from 400 milligrams to 1,000 to 2,000 and to 5,000. See where it's going. So the smart money, my smart money is on 10,000. But at least if you take 5,000, I can tell you you'll get above the level the Indonesians showed to be beneficial. What you can't do is get it from the sun. My ex-husband used to play 18 holes of golf, 6 holes a day in Yuma, Arizona, the sunniest city in America, and his levels were in the toilet. You couldn't measure them. So you cannot get it from the sun.
So did all that golf playing get him kicked to the curb or what?
No, no, he just didn't like playing in Iowa. He wanted to go back to his golf courses. Not to say I wasn't a problem, but no, he's a wonderful guy. But, he really didn't like Iowa, and it really wasn't going to work out, and I wasn't leaving. So
there you go. Well, sometimes those things happen.
It wasn't the golf.
It wasn't the golf. Huh?
I was in the operating room during all that time, so I didn't.
Well, I was wondering. He was in the golf course, and he kept his wife working. Now there's a situation.
Well, he was a retired Marine colonel, so he.
Oh.
So.
Well, those things happen in life. What can you say?
Yeah. But
Dr. Lee Heeb is our guest. I'm going right ahead.
Thank you.
Go. No. We're not quite. We have about 2 minutes left. Do you have a closing remark?
Oh, well, I don't know that I have any little tough thing to say, but I just think it's sad that the young people are afraid. And I would just say to the young people, the best thing you can do is to go out, and not just young people that are generally healthy. It turns out that it's not the asthmatics that are going down with this, for example. If you get, I'd go out in the sun, go to the beach, go out and raise a garden, get on with your life, take the supplements that make sense, and if you get sick, it's probably going to be mild and give you some immunity. That's the way when they talk about herd immunity, it really doesn't really play a role here. What you need is good individual immunity, which means taking care of your own health. Eat right, don't live on junk, take some supplements that you can't get from modern diet, and get on with life, because we cannot, on just numbers of deaths alone, they're saying 130 million people are going to die because they're not being fed by the first world. Third world depends on the first world to feed them, and we're dumping cattle. Are you kidding me? So just for the goodness of the world, we should get back to work, save our neighbors.
Yes, we should. All right, Dr. Lee Heeb is a libertarian, as you probably picked up, and she's an orthopedic surgeon in the Omaha area. And best of all, she's been a long-time contributor to this program. Thank you so much, Lee.
Hey,
you bet. All right, see ya. All right, this is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I want to thank Councilman Terry Minke for being on with us, Greg Hora of the Pork Producers, Brenda Angstrom, of course, the County Treasurer, and Dr. Lee Heeb for some great information today. It's 5 o'clock. The news is next. This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Hi, this is Gary Rima, the voice of the University of Northern Iowa Panthers, and this is the home for Panther Sports, the voice of Fort Dodge, KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Releasing the names. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 2 Republican senators make public a list of names of Obama administration officials, including former Vice President Joe Biden, who may have learned of Michael Flynn's connection to the Russia investigation.
Senators Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley released 16 names provided by the acting director of national intelligence of Obama administration officials who sought to have former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's name unmasked. The list includes top national security figures, including then FBI Director James Comey, then CIA Director John Brennan, and the former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, in addition to former Vice President Joe Biden. The National Security Agency memo says the officials may have received Flynn's identity, and each individual was authorized and approved through a standard process that includes justification of the request. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
President Trump a short time ago saying the fact that Biden was on the list is a big story, and he predicts there will be bigger stories in the future. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, whose state has been at the epicenter in the U.S. of the pandemic, with an optimistic take on the progress his state is making in battling the virus.
When you look at where we are today, we're just about where we were when we started this terrible situation. So we have hopefully come through the worst. We paid a heck of a price for it.
He has also cleared a dozen more counties where hospitals will be able to take in patients for elective surgeries, and again called for federal aid for states. Wall Street at the close, stocks fell for a second day, weighed down by worries about a slow recovery for the economy. The Dow lost 516, the Nasdaq off 139, the S&P minus 50. America is listening to Fox News.
Americans rely on affordable, reliable package delivery from the U.S. Postal Service. It's a lifeline for rural communities. It powers our cities. But Washington politicians want to impose a massive package rate hike on the Postal Service, a 400% increase. We can't afford that these days. Quadrupling the price to send a package? That means 4 times the cost for seniors to ship their medication, 4 times to deliver household necessities, and 4 times the cost for small businesses. Unneeded rate hikes that will harm Main Street and everyday Americans. America can't afford the package tax now. Call Congress now. 202-224-3121. Tell them to stop the package tax. The Postal Service is an economic lifeline for small businesses and rural customers all over the country. That's 202-224-3121 and tell them to stop the postal rate hike. Paid for by the Package Coalition.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The Webster County Public Health Department released a statement Monday afternoon that the county has had its first COVID-19 related death. The individual who passed away was a middle-aged adult between the ages of 41 and 60. Webster County Public Health Director Carrie Prescott said, "We wish to extend our sympathy to this individual's family. Webster County Public Health and all of our partners throughout the county and state continue to work to limit the spread and impact of the virus in our communities. We ask that our residents respect the privacy of this family and please continue to take preventative measures," end quote. The Webster County Public Health Department COVID-19 hotline remains available 7 days a week by calling 515-227-7153. The Webster County Courthouse has now reopened the doors. They also continue to process paperwork by mail or through the county payment drop box located in the alley beside the courthouse building. County Auditor Doreen Pliner wants to remind everyone that there is in-person absentee voting at a new location this year. The voting has been moved to the DHS building located at 330 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge. That absentee precinct will be open from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. weekdays for absentee voting for the June 2nd primary election. Absentee ballots for the primary election can be cast at the DHS building through 4:30 p.m. June the 1st. If you've received an absentee ballot by mail and wish to return them in person, you can return them to the Webster County Courthouse main lobby drop box. Absentee ballots returned by mail must be postmarked by midnight June 1st. Fort Dodge City Councilman Nevin Conrad was a guest on Divine Intervention with Mike Devine on KVFD-AM 1400. Conrad spoke on a variety of subjects during his appearance. He says that COVID-19 is a delicate balancing act with trying to reopen businesses but still take the necessary precautions with the virus.
Can start to see some of that kind of cabin fever setting in. People want to get out, they want to do things, but at the same time, you know, we've got to respect the fact that this is a highly contagious disease that impacts all the population, but specifically the older population, and we've got a duty to protect them.
Conrad went on to talk about the difficulty that the pandemic has brought on small businesses in the area.
there are some businesses that have been forced to close, and thankfully through the CARES Act, a little bit of help towards some of these definitely tough times for a lot of our friends and neighbors.
For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. Rachel Cruz, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host this hour on the Dave Ramsey Show. We're glad to have her here answering your questions. Open phones at 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Tim is on the line in Florida. Hi, Tim. Your question for Rachel and me.
Yes. So I've got a question about the CARES Act. I believe you talked about how the CARES Act gets rid of the penalty for the 401k if you take it out.
Correct.
Now I'm currently in baby step 2. I've got about $30,000 in debt. I've got probably about $10,000 in a 401k that I accrued prior to starting the baby steps. And basically, my question is, would it be smart to go ahead and take that money out, apply it to baby step 2, and then that way I'll be about 4 months, I'll be able to get to baby step 4 about 4 months sooner?
Tim, do you still have an income coming in?
I do, and it's about to go up because my second job will let me back in.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I would not. I wouldn't touch it, even though you're not going to get penalized from it. I would keep it in because, number one, you'd be pulling it out toward the bottom of the market. So any growth you had, it would have just been gone. So leaving it in and considering that your income is still stable and what you're bringing in. The only reason we would cash out 401ks, retirement, is to avoid a bankruptcy or a foreclosure. And you're not in that position. In fact, your income's going up. And so I would buckle down, pay off the debt, but I would definitely keep your 401k in, that money in, versus cashing it out.
Agreed. And keep in mind that the 10% penalty is waived. The taxes are not. So you don't have $10,000. You got $7,500 after you pay your taxes. So it's not, no, I completely would, it's the worst possible time to take money out of the market right now while it's down. It's tempting. I see it sitting there, and them taking the 10% penalty off. Really, what that amounts to is if someone is in dire straits, like Rachel said, of trying to avoid a foreclosure, a bankruptcy, that kind of a thing, then they can get to their money without the penalty. That's what the CARES Act was for. It wasn't really to rearrange your investments and use them to pay debt. So that's advice we've given for 30 plus years, and really it does work beautifully. The same advice works beautifully in exactly these settings. The 10% being taken off makes it a little more tempting, but it still doesn't make it smart. It's still not smart if you're in bad straits, but you just have to do it because you're starving to death. That's not your case. You got 2 jobs. You're in great shape, and you're a hustler, man. You're getting it. I'm proud of you. So, good question. Thanks for joining us. Sarah's in Texas. Hey, Sarah, welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave and Rachel.
Hey, what's up?
My question, my husband and I were wondering how much longer can we hit pause on investing to save for baby step 3B actually, because I haven't been investing since 2016 because I was paying off my debt, and my husband has only been putting in about 10% of his income for a year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how much longer would you want to pause it to save up your down payment?
It would take us about 2 years. We're still saving for baby step 3, which we'll have that done by October this year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What's your household income?
About 120 gross.
Okay. So why is it taking so long to do these 2 things? Finish your emergency fund and then save your down payment.
We've only been married 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm talking about going forward. Going forward, not looking back. Going forward, you got a $120,000 household income. You got no payments but a house payment. And you don't have a house payment. You got no payments but rent. And so why is it taking you so long to get your emergency fund built?
The expenses, my daughter's medical expenses, it's about $1,200 a month. And then
$1,200 a month is $14,000 out of 120. That doesn't answer it.
Yeah, we're able to save about $3,000 a month right now.
Okay. All right. So well, I don't know that it's going to take you 2 years to do all of this. Is my point. So you're doing better than the 2 years indicated. At that's $36,000 a year. You probably still could do some more, but that's not bad. So the question is, obviously, when you do baby step 3B, that means you're saving up for a down payment. And what that means is you're either doing that while you're doing your baby step 4, which is 15% going into retirement, or you're pausing. Right now, you've chosen to pause to save more. If that's making you nervous, go ahead and start and take a little longer to save your down payment.
But finish out baby step 3 because I think
definitely.
she's still in that. So you're finishing that out, and then once you're done with that in October, then you can go to start investing 15% of your income in retirement. Anything else savings you can put to that down payment, but it'll take longer for you to save for that down payment while you're investing versus if you chose to keep pausing investing till you save up that 10 or 20% for the down payment. So it's an either or for you. It's just the urgency of when you want to buy the house.
Yeah, and what size of an emergency fund are you trying to build to? So you're on track. You're doing pretty good. But it's just baby step 3B. That's what we nicknamed it because you don't save for a house until you're out of debt and have the emergency fund. So you've done that, or you will have done that by October. Then, do you reinstitute? And by the way, your husband should not be putting money into his 401k at this point either. You should both stop until you get to your emergency fund. Then once you do that, then you decide how much are we going to put into retirement up to 15%, zero to 15, somewhere in there, until you get your down payment built. And sometimes folks are more concerned about retirement than they are buying a house, and so they go ahead and start, and it delays buying the house a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. It's 15%. It's not 50%. And so you can still get there. All right. Roger is with us in Texas. Hey, Roger. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Rachel. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
I had a question about I'm a firefighter, paramedic here in Texas. Should I rely on my mandatory pension to retire, or should I add it? Should I add to it when I get to baby step 4? Currently, I'm on baby step 2.
Are they taking money out of your check for the pension?
Yes.
How much?
A mandatory 15%.
Oh, 15%. But you don't have any control over it. I wouldn't want to rely on it 100%, but maybe your baby step 4 is not 15% since your pension is. But I would back it off and say, instead of doing baby step 4 15%, maybe you do it at, 5 or 10%. But you need some money other than that pension money when you get to retirement. So let's build up an emergency, or let's build up a 401k or a Roth IRA to the side of that. In addition to that, that's money you control. You don't control this pension. You don't get to control what it's invested in. You don't get to control when it's handed out. You don't get to control any of that. And that scares me in this. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Man, am I sick and tired of people getting screwed over by the timeshare industry. People have paid off their timeshare, but can't even give it back. It's crazy. Imagine you paid off your house and said, "Here, bank, have my house for free. It's paid for." And then imagine the bank says, "Nope, we don't want it." That's what these timeshares are doing. If you're sick and tired of paying for a timeshare you can't afford, call Timeshare Exit Team. When you hire them before May 31st to exit you from your timeshare, if Timeshare Exit Team can't get you out before your next maintenance fee is due, they'll pay the fee for you. I trust Timeshare Exit Team. They have exited over 21,000 1,000 people, and Lord knows people need them now more than ever. Call 844-999-EXIT or timeshareexitteam.com. They'll get you out, or they'll pay your next maintenance fee. Some exclusions apply. See their site for details. Whatever is going on in your world personally, now is not the time to spend more money than you need to. Do this. Join Honey. Do not pass up on instant savings. I was talking to Tatiana on our media team, and she said she bought prescription sunglasses online and got 50% off because she used a promo code. Honey found her at checkout. So listen to Papa Dave. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/Dave. What can you buy for 50 cents anymore? Not much. But year after year, my friends at Simply Safe Home Security have provided the best 24/7 protection, and it's just 50 cents a day. This is the award-winning security U.S. News & World Reports calls Best Overall Home Security in 2020. There's no contract to lock you in, and it's just 50 cents a day. Visit simplysafedirect.com now, and you'll get a free security camera.
Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson. Governor Kim Reynolds rolled back more coronavirus restrictions today, allowing hair salons and barbershops statewide to open on Friday. She also extended the business reopenings she's allowed in 77 counties since May 1st to the other 22 counties. That means all restaurants may reopen dining areas at half capacity. Fitness centers and gyms in 22 counties that have been limited to one-at-a-time appointment use are now allowed to have more customers.
There's no universal approach that works perfectly for every state. In fact, a one-size approach is not the best way to tackle unique circumstances.
Reynolds says they've been able to validate that Iowa hospitals will be able to handle future increases in COVID-19 cases. Congressman Steve King's been saying for the past 2 weeks he has agreement with Republican leadership in the House to get his committee assignments restored, but an Ohio congressman who's on the leadership team says King will not be serving on any committees. That's your news on Radio Iowa, online at radioiowa.com. I'm Dar Danielson.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Providing food, feed, and fuel for the world is a tough job. Making a profit is even tougher. Sukup Manufacturing has the solution. Store now, profit later. Storing your grain in a Sukup bin is the best way to take charge of your grain, maximize your profits, and control your destiny. With over 80 patents, Sukup is the leader in grain storage, and Sukup offers a full line of bins to fit your specific needs. Visit sukup.com to find your local Sukup dealer today and learn how we can help you store now, profit.
Thanks for joining us, America. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Rachel Cruz, Ramsey personality, #1 best-selling author, my co-host. Rachel, our response to the shutdown, coronavirus shutdown, has been outrageous. For the first time in 30 years, about 40 days ago, we said we're going to allow you, for the first time ever, to have a 14-day free trial to a Financial Peace membership. The online membership allows you access to all the videos, and you get it at daveramsey.com/FPU or daveramsey.com/hope, either one, and a free trial for 14 days with all 9 lessons for Financial Peace available, all of Rachel's Smart Money, Smart Kids lessons available, all the Legacy Journey, which is the follow-up class, lessons available, all the Every Dollar Plus, the connectivity to the bank, the upgrade to Every Dollar, the world's best budgeting app, is available. All free, part of the free trial. The full-on premium, top-shelf product, and almost 80,000 people have now taken us up on that. That's pretty wild.
Signed up. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And it was really just kind of our knee-jerk reaction to putting hope back out in the marketplace during all this pandemic. We're like, okay, what can we do to help people and get people involved when it comes to their money, get them in a more secure place? And the best way of doing that is teaching people how to do that, and then they have to go do it themselves. But Financial Peace University, like, that's it. Like, that's the bread and butter of how to do everything from insurance to budgeting to getting out of debt. I mean, we cover so much in it. And so the fact that, 80,000 people, I don't even know if I knew that number.
How to build wealth, how to become outrageously generous, real estate lesson, all of it. The classic, 6 million people plus have been through, 6 million families have been through Financial Peace University. And so it's pretty crazy. And now 80,000 in the last 40 days or so, just under 80. But we're just under 80,000 in the last 40 days or so have taken us up on this. So we're continuing it. I do not know how much longer we will continue a 14-day free trial, but there's entire areas of the country still completely locked down, and some of you are still stuck at home. It's kind of weird to us in Tennessee. We've been open for a couple of weeks now, and it's starting to, we're starting to feel the rhythm of our life come back a little bit. And then you read about folks in California and Michigan and see the news reports and really feel for you guys. I know it's really tough on you. And so hopefully we can help you. And some of you, regardless of whether you're still in lockdown or not, while you were in that lockdown, had that I've had it moment. I'll never again be in this situation and be broke. Never again will I be back and be broke. And we'll show you how. And there's no shame in having an I've had it moment, a never again moment. The shame would be in having it and then doing nothing about it. And we'll show you how. A free 14-day trial for Financial Peace. Go to DaveRamsey.com/hope or DaveRamsey.com/FPU. Either one will get you in. All right, Casey is with us. Casey's in Oregon. Hi, Casey. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Rachel. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
So I am calling in today because I recently just graduated with my Doctor of Pharmacy last week, but I am also not proud to say that I had, during that time period, accrued about $270,000 worth of student loans.
For a pharmacy degree?
Yeah, it's 8 years. So between my undergrad and graduate school.
Oh, baby girl. Oh, my gosh. You graduated last week. You graduated last week. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Whew.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and then that just...
Not exactly what I pictured for graduation, but still.
Well, yeah, you got hit, it's like, woohoo, and getting hit in the face with a snowball. Yeah, it's like, wow.
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness. So when do you pass your boards?
So that is what I'm studying for right now. That part is really up in the air because most of the testing centers are closed.
They're not doing them virtual? Interesting.
No, so they do not allow any virtual testing. Some of the testing centers are slowly starting to open.
Good.
But
do you have a job lined up when you pass?
I actually, before even passing, I have a job lined up. So I have my residency starting July 1st, and I'll be making about $54,000. But that's only a 1-year kind of contract, continuing education thing. But at least it's a job.
You have a 1-year residency?
Yes.
That seems long. I thought most of the pharmacy students I talked to have gone straight to work. Is that an Oregon thing, or am I missing something?
No, so with the pharmacy degree, you can kind of jump right into working. How it's kind of working now is most of your retail or community setting pharmacies will allow you to do that. So going into your Walmart, Walgreens, that kind of thing. But if you're hoping to do any type of hospital-related pharmacy gig, you have to have a residency, so a little bit of further training.
Okay, but it pays double.
Yes.
Most of them are making 100 to 135 that I'm talking to. Does that sound right?
Yes, and that's if you're going straight into it. So once I'm done with this 1-year residency, I will be making that 100 to 135. But again, kind of taking that, getting a job that I think I would like more, I do take that pay cut for a year.
Can you do the residency later?
It is a possibility, although I already accepted the position. So
it's a $60,000, $70,000 expense you just took on with a $270,000 student loan bill. So that's what's concerning me. I want to be making some money and attacking the student loans, and then maybe go back and do my residency.
Yeah. Most of if you wait, it's most likely like a year waiting. So I could take a year off. I guess. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. And then go from there.
Well, because Casey, the job, because you're taking the MD, or I'm sorry, you're doing the residency for a year because the job that you're going to want is one that you want more long term than going into a different type of field. So the question would be,
when you finish residency, what would you be making in your field?
Same thing. So 100 to 135.
It's just a different time. So I mean, if I was in your shoes, I mean, honestly, I would probably pause the residency, just go get a job for 3 years of one that, you don't love it. It's still in your field though, and you're getting those reps, and you're able to pay this off. Because if you're making 130 right away, I mean, I'd live on nothing, do that for about 3 years, do the student loans, and then take the year of the $50,000 because you'll have actually no payments at that point, and then go. Because this is a long-term decision for you. So for the short term, I would almost just rather make the sacrifice, make some money, and then go back to the residency.
Otherwise, you're just basically putting the majority of your debt reduction on hold yet another year. And so graduation doesn't mean much to your 270. It's still sitting there. Oh, by the way, you get to pay on it after 6 months anyway. I don't think maybe residency will qualify for keeping the student loans on pause. I don't know if it will or not. But, wow. I would be chomping at the bit to get my income up if I was you. So that's why I'm thinking about this. But if you go this route, you're just going to have obviously, you're going to be putting a lot less for 1 year onto the debt than you would if you went a different route. And that's why we're springing to action on the math for you. But wow. Very deep, very deep. Thanks for the call. Open phones at 888-825-5225. The number of times that we run into folks with overwhelming student loan debt.
That's what I was just thinking. I mean, 250 is obviously extremely high, but that's not rare. I mean, you're hearing people that are getting these advanced degrees, and it's just it's becoming the norm. And being able to think outside the norm is what keeps you out of that hole.
Yeah, Anthony O'Neill's #1 bestseller, Debt-Free Degree, shows lots of ways to go through school. Now she's already there. We're not shaming her. That's not the point. But if you've got you got a 17-year-old and they're thinking about becoming a pharmacy student, maybe you need to discuss this call with them. Because it just takes your breath away. This is the Dave Ramsey